but knowing the player type HooXi is, that's why I think he will be good for G2. In my opinion, by far the best IGL I've worked with. And I have also, I've had Jumpy as an IGL when I played in 1.6, who in my opinion was really good. I had cArn, who people say is like...
He's better than cArn?
100%.
Snake and Banter is of course brought to you by eSportsBet, so thanks to them for that. That's the betting outlet that I would recommend. And of course, they still have the first time deposit bonus of 50% on up to 200 USDT. If that doesn't tickle your fancy, how about 100 USDT debt forgiveness for the first time bet? If you make 100 USDT bet or any amount below and you lose that bet, then you can just go to them, the staff on the site or on the Discord, message the mods, say IOE sent you, and they'll forgive up to 100 USDT for the first bet. You can just check it out. Have a go for free. Right. This is going to be another episode of Snake and Banter. So, of course, me and Mauisnake are back. It's the way one of the problems I've noticed with banter is sometimes when I make jokes, this is why I actually do sort of go a bit like woo-woo into some like esoteric shit, Maui. Because I have sort of noticed, like on some level, you have to really be careful actually what intentions you do put in the world. Because I used to obviously make all that banter and get people to do silly intros like Yanko and Sponge and obviously like you're on here now. And the joke would be like, oh, you guys are like my proteges, but you're like stealing all the gigs from me out here. It's like that's actually become a little bit too on the nose. You know what I mean? Before that was like a really funny joke when Yanko like did that one, and then now it's like the joke is me and you actually only ever got to share events where I was deciding the talent. Like I don't know how that worked. I don't know how we perfectly missed each other completely in all the ESL, but it's mental in it. It's mental. I'm like, you've just supported me there, man. Now I can never come back.
Yeah. Well, there's maybe a future for it.
That's true. I can't lie. Look, there was a part of me thought, I'm actually amazed I didn't even get credit for this. I actually thought, because of the time when I released that video, like, yeah, probably never do majors again. Then, except if Blast or someone, got like a major. It'd have to not be in, like Middle East or something. And then the next, like one day later or so, it was like, Blast looking to get French major. It's like, I didn't actually do that, guys. That would be a god tier setup to be like, I retire unless, right back in the game. Wait, I wasn't though. That actually was genuine. I even was shocked, like, oh, fucking hell, fair enough, okay. I mean, I even thought to myself, maybe I'll see Nell there. Then again, how would we ever know what it looks like? He actually has been on videos, by the way. It's just good banter in it anyway. So our guest for this episode, and by the way, this is a long-awaited episode. It's been like trying to, get someone a visa to another country or something. It's been the process back and forth. But we finally got there. It is, of course, Pita, the former coach of NIP. Who was it you were coaching most recently? Was it Copenhagen Flames?
No,
you did Copenhagen Flames.
I did, but I also Dignitas most recently.
And then Dig was the most recent one, yes. Right, so if people don't know, Peter was actually a 1.6 pro. He used to play in Fnatic and a bunch of other teams, Meteor Makers and all that. Although nowadays we don't mention Meteor Makers because it's just what happened with that org. But listen, at the time it was fire, it was banging, it was dope and everything. And then obviously in CSGO, if people don't know, I actually did a reflection with it, I'll link it if I remember, where he was actually the coach when NIP won the major, but like sort of, it was like a semi-unofficial coach because coaches weren't really like a thing back then, but actually he did come up with some interesting things. Anyway, watch the reflections, you'll get into it. So he's been around the scene for a long time. Obviously we always like on this show, Peter, to start with the guest, and we always start with the good topic. Like we start positive and then just descend into criticising everything and then just end probably on a bad note. So fuck it, next episode. So what would your good point be that you're bringing to this one?
I'm bringing the signing of HooXi to G2. Might not be the most popular opinion right now. But...
Mate, the way you phrased this, actually, I couldn't wait for this topic because, first of all, everyone is obviously wrecking this guy, but you even wrote it to me. It was even better than that. You wrote to me, like, HooXi's player type to G2. And I was like, for the good one. Like, the order, right? I was like, good, bad, like, okay. Listen, I never expected that, so you are right. I think this will be a very unique opinion. So come on, give us the take. What is everyone missing?
Yeah,
because if people don't know, by the way, HooXi was in Copenhagen Flames. That's why I also referenced it, right?
Yeah. So I'm
assuming you know him way better than all of us and seen his game and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I understand people's concerns about him joining G2. Obviously, everyone expects G2 to be a top team. Looking at HooXi's stats has not been looking good. So I understand the concerns, but knowing the player type HooXi is, that's why I think he will be good for G2. The reason why is I think G2 has, I'd say, like too much talent on that team, or try to have too much talent. They try to have like the best player on each position. In CS, in my opinion, I might be wrong, but my opinion is that you can't have 5-star players on each position. You need to have someone that will take on the role player. You know, we're looking at like basketball, for an example. You look at looking at Chicago Bulls. You know, you had Scotty and Jordan, and then you had Rodman, for an example. Like just taking all the rebounds. For me, HooXi is that kind of player. In order for Hunter and Nico to be able to perform, I think they need someone who will, you know, do what's necessary for the team, and that's why I think he is like the right player. And also knowing how he works and his mentality and ethic, I think like he will bring something good to G2.
By the way, just before we jump in ourselves, can I just clarify, actually, since you talked about like as a player there in GT, can you just give us like, how would you like summarize it? What's like the HooXi style of IGLing? Because even that's obviously one of the topics that keeps getting brought up. Like I've noticed with Aleksib, what happens with IGL narratives is because no one ever gets to watch the person do the calls. You just get like a narrative gets set, like this guy micromanages, this guy is a loose player, and it's like that just haunts people for like 10 years. Like the joke is everyone still tells MSL like, you only run executes. He's like, I haven't done that for like 3 years, but like if he gets stuck, he gets stuck. So how would you describe, what's a HooXi style IGL job like? What would you say?
I'd say like he's really good at listening to his teammates, what they want to do in the round. Like we had some games in Flames where he could basically right after the game say to his teammates like, I think the ideas that you had this game was either bad or you didn't come with like initiative. Like he always talk about initiative. I need your initiative because if you go middle on Dust 2 every fucking round, you will know after 6 or 7 rounds what will work. If I'm going like lower dark on Dust 2, I don't know what the fuck is happening top mid. So you need to give me that, you know, ideas on what we can do top mid. So he's always trying to make sure his teammates on all the specific positions tell him what the best solution is. And then he puzzles all these things up. Like it feels like he has gone through all the fucking scenarios in CS and knows how to, if Nico wants to do something, but Hunter wants to do something, 1 + 1 = 2. So he fixes something like during freeze time, and I think that's very rare. Like looking at other IGLs that I've worked with, is like they have their way of thinking. We're gonna go out long. Like it doesn't even listen to what the other players want to do. And then you have IGLs who listens too much on their teammates. Like they don't have a say. They're just like, okay, yeah, we can go B. Let's go. Okay, yeah, we can go out mid. So he has a very good balance, I'd say. That's something people don't know about him. But in my opinion, by far the best IGL I've worked with. And I have also I've had Jumpy as an IGL when I played in 1.6, who in my opinion was really good. I had cArn, who people say is like...
He's better than cArn.
100%.
Editor, learn. Wow. That is the title. The title is HooXi is better than cArn.
100%.
Yeah, obviously that's the title. It's a clickbait right there, mate.
Yeah, so I mean, I have played with good IGLs and I've also coached really good IGLs. But for me, he is like by far the best. And the day that he stops playing, he will be 100% the best coach in CSGO.
Okay. Add that to the title as well.
Wow.
Basically, just take that last whole minute. That's the title. Probably the clip as well at the beginning. Right. One thing I would say is this, Mauisnake. I'm going to actually challenge you a bit here. Just because it's the fucking guest, don't just go easy. But, oh, yeah, I sort of agree, I guess. And if I could find a way to...
Sure.
What do you think? Because here's the thing. Low-key, you were probably going to flame him if it got brought up this episode, right?
Well, okay.
Where are you at on this camp?
Well, I mean, okay, I'll say this. With HooXi, the biggest concern for me with HooXi is just clearly his own individual ability. I wrote in that HLTV guest feature that I thought that HooXi style for Copenhagen Flames made a lot of sense when it came to G2. I wanted to see, because he made a few of the people like syrsoN and Roy look very good. Like people on that team looked better than they had looked in other teams, or really from what I'd seen for them for a while. So I thought that he could elevate the players on that team. But I do think there's some truth to the kind of new age statement for IGLs in CS, which is that you can't be dead weight in terms of individual performance. And when you look at how HooXi's been playing against all top 30 teams, he is practically the equivalent of dead weight. He's really, really poor in terms of what he's outputting. But what's nice right now is that G2 is still finding a way to win with it. So maybe he's rolling it back. So I think he's actually bridging the gap right now a bit between what vintage IGLs were doing in terms of not putting up anything, but actually masterminding the whole equation and kind of like I guess I would put like forward a name like Pronax, just notoriously bottom fragger, but still was able to find a way to let a loose style and connect it in the Fnatic system. So I think that HooXi I actually do think HooXi is a good IGL. I wouldn't have written what I wrote for HLTV about them if I didn't believe that.
Yes.
I still, in a way, like it's hard for me to think that they're gonna compete with teams that. Like, a Na'Vi right now just seems like such an ideal team when you look at it on paper, because there's a couple role players, but you still have star power from the IGL in electronics, so you don't have deadweight there. And then you look at the other top team in FaZe, and it seems like cArn knows how to ramp up when he needs to for big tournaments, or at least that's what he's proven to us this year so far. So it's hard for me to say that this is going to be, and even if you want to go a little bit further than that, down the line, Apex probably for Vitality right now. I think Apex is definitely a better fragger than
really
HooXi.
good, yeah.
Yeah, so as an IGL, he's above average, and for compared 1-to-1 to HooXi, he's definitely better. So that's where you just have to say, is the rifle core, or I guess including m0NESY, is the star power on G2 actually strong enough to then compete with HooXi putting it all together? And that's where I think that this lineup falls just a step short. Like they're a team that to me could make a grand final, they could even make a semifinal, and maybe if they get into enough grand finals, they're eventually going to win one. But I think it's kind of like even if they hit the grand final, I think they're always going to be a 70-30 underdog.
What's funny about this one is I don't think my take's like in line with anyone, because I'm sort of a bit of everyone on this one. Like, I will say, by the way, I'll credit, it's true actually, you did actually say when he was joining initially that stylistically you did think it was a good fit actually. I remember you actually did say that opinion. So to be fair, you did go in with that like potential that it could work. But my problem with this whole topic goes like this. I think every single team for an in-game leader or a coach is about the personnel you have. And it's like, the idea is it's like a hand in poker or a team in a sport. Like, you can't just choose any style to play. Like, obviously if in poker I've got like a 7-2 offsuit, I'm gonna have to bluff or fold, aren't I? I can't like play it like it was kings, just re-raise when the guys obviously got like jacks or something, or I'm fucked, aren't I? Like, in that scenario, like whether my decision is right isn't actually just based on whether I win in the game or if someone beats me. It's based on what hard cards we have. That's why if someone does do a godlike bluff, or in football, the famous examples would be like if you were like Leicester City, this famous one where they were 5,000 to 1 odds and they won the Premier League. Like, it almost goes without saying that coach must have done a fucking insane job that season. Like, essentially he had a team that was like 10 times worse than all the contenders. So when we get into it, right, basically the problem I have is this. Every IGL, I do the same thing. I look, what are they working with? What are their pieces? What tools do they have? Before I critique them and say they're bad. So my problem is this. Everyone knew coming in, anyone who did their due diligence and watched the games knew HooXi wasn't going to frag. That was never even on the table. That was not even what he was trying to do in Copenhagen Flames. Like Peter says, about making other people better. And that's my problem. That is never fucking brought up as a topic. I've done it with cArn and people finally got that narrative. But they think it's only cArn. It's like, same with my boy MSL. No one gives him credit, by the way. How many stars has he made a star and then they go and be a star elsewhere? The point is this, in my opinion, the better you can make other players, the less well you have to play logically. On some level, CS is a numbers game. As in, yeah, obviously the eye test might tell us, like, for example, to put this in contrast, the actual stats will tell you cArn's equally as bad at fragging as HooXi. But obviously the eye test will show you, like, well, maybe he's just a bit better. Like, as you say, he sort of has games where he knows, like, fuck, I have to step it up and he has like a half, he sort of carries. He can definitely sort of turn it on a little bit in the way the other one can't, and so the numbers, it doesn't matter that they average out to be the same. You wouldn't say the numbers alone of that, but the point is, when you have a cArn and those numbers, or an MSL or whatever, you better have like a whole trio of stars, or you better have people who can consistently frag out or do all the things you can't do, you know. And so in this particular case, it's why, for example, the actual classic, that's why I always use MSL, not Glaive, because Glaive's a pretty good fragger actually. Spoiler, if you saw him in Heroic, he could just not be an IGL and actually be a pretty, like, he'd be like middle of the pack with all the frags. But if you ever watch classic MSL, this is the ultimate example of a good IGL, because if you watch him, he's not going to get the kill. The guy coming behind him is always going to get the kill every fucking time, and that guy's going to drop 30, and it doesn't matter that MSL got 13 kills. You win the game, your star dropped 30. Like, that's, by the way, if you can do that consistently, you're an amazing IGL. Like, get this guy in the door. Doesn't mean you got skills. Obviously, the guy who has the skills as well is the fucking, he's going to rule the scene, and he's the most OP talent of all time to be a good IGL and frag, and God forbid you can make other players better. That's actually why some teams do get out of control, like Astralis, in my opinion, when you got everything going. That was the dream team in some sense. So my problem is this. When I look at G2, it'd be one thing if they'd recruited HooXi to the Jax team instead of Aleksib. You know, that's why I hate this comparison. It's just a one-to-one Aleksib for HooXi. And we're ignoring that JKS plays. Aleksib had fucking Jax. That was like the definition of a player where it's like, actually, the eye test is not bad, but fuck, the numbers are bad. Fuck, he's never going to drop 30, is he? Like, it's almost never going to... So in that scenario, right, here's what people don't point out. Since you must know coming in, he was going to have these issues fragging, and you signed JKS, you actually intentionally set the team up like that, like 4 fraggers, 1 IGL. That just means HooXi's job is to get the others fragging, right? That's where you can critique him. If G2 loses and they're shit and they don't win these games, that's the thing, I don't want to hear that. Oh, they won the game somehow. Fuck off. You mean he did his job? You mean a guy who just joined a team, got everyone to play, so that even though he looked shit to us, who don't know what he's calling, they won the game. Well, what else is he supposed to do? Give you a blowjob and fucking clean your house afterwards? Like, fucking hell, mate. I don't say he's doing a bang-up job. Because there's the other thing. People are acting like this is the real problem, by the way, with G2. It's not with Vitality, because they're doing great. The real problem with G2 is, because they haven't yet won or ever gone deep beyond the first tournament of the year, people are now sick and tired of waiting, because it's G2 with Nico, and the joke is, sorry, HooXi, your problem is Aleksib got to use up all your time period, and then Nexa before him, and now they have to win now, even though that's not even fair to win like the first event or the second event. Like, you should obviously have a ramp up time, shouldn't you, like any IGL? So when I look at his team, I think the joke, Peter, is that's actually why HooXi might work in this team, because if they actually went the fragging IGL side, right, he probably wouldn't put all his focus to making all the other ones really, really strong, like a Blame F or something. But it's weird, I'll tell you right now, crazy statement for you, this could be my headline. Blame F as the IGL of G2. G2 might even be worse than with fucking HooXi, in my opinion. Blame F would frag out, but I don't know if the others would get in position and do what they want to do and figure out what to... my problem with this is, I think they have actually recruited. That's why I actually did agree with the JKS pickup. He's like the bloody support player / anchor. I can definitely know he can do like a 1.05, and also at certain maps he's just going to carry a CTR finny. Like, that's, by the way, that was instead of Jax, that was our supportive element. Like, remember the other 3, this is I'm going to get to the real topic here, Peter. This is where if you're a coach or IGL, this is where you're going to fucking love my shit. Because here's the point I'm going to make. I'll give you the analogy, right? This is like getting a team where it's like a Real Madrid type team where they just sign all the best players, or Man City now or something. They sign all the best players in the world now. So they just stack the front line, the best strikers, the best midfielders. You keep going, right? Imagine, right, there's a season where a bunch of the strikers score half as many goals as they should, and then the midfielders don't really create chances, and then you go, this fucking defender scored 3 goals though. By the way, scoring 3 goals for a Denver, really good season, but it's not 10. But the point there is, like, why are you blaming him? Like, wait. If we talk about goals, you start with the strikers. So first of all, right, the Nico angle, it seems like it's resolved. I'll give him that one. The Hunter one seems fine too. mauisnake's finally popping off. By the way, if you noticed that, this is crazy to me. The only time mauisnake ever did look like a Ziwu is under fucking HooXi. Am I missing something? Listen, I thought he was actually good before because I thought he's a young guy, he's levelling up, he's doing his first lands. But he has also literally hit the ground running with this guy snapping, just winning series himself over the best players in the world. No credit to HooXi again. Have you noticed, by the way, if people just don't like HooXi, they're just going to move the goalposts. He's never going to get credit for anything. In fact, he is only judged literally on his red stats on HLTV in the game. That's all we're judging this guy on. Spoiler, you know everyone out there goes, you don't know anything about the game. You don't even know anything, man. You just look at numbers on the screen and go, higher is better, lower must be worse. You don't even know the second and third order effects. You don't know what an IGL does. So to me, I look at his team and I'm like, look, if they frag out the other 4 to the degree they need and they win the match, he nailed it. If they don't frag out, by the way, he might have done a bad job. Maybe as an IGL, he didn't do a bad job, but his fragging's almost irrelevant. So my issue is, like, basically, Maui, to bring it back, so you can jump back in on this if you want, I don't agree at all with that principle, because it's basically what you tried to tell me, you did, about Stewie2K replacing Taco. If in the short term it can work, it's going to be way better to have Stewie2K fragging out. Obviously, as an entry, he's going to be more effective. But the difference is, like, people like Taco have like an underrated value because of what it does to the other player, isn't it? And I don't think that's made up. Like, I think you just have to look at the career of Cold Zero, but it checks out like a motherfucker. You go look at these teams even. Mate, tell you what, Team Liquid fragged out better. They weren't actually as cohesive a unit. They just weren't. Like, they're actually a better tactical team with Taco. So that's not to say, by the way, this is like hard, like Taco is better than Steve. It's just, it's not always the case that if you can sort of do the role but have some fragging as well, that's automatically better. And the reason I don't agree for the IGL one is because, like, I think you actually have to find the outliers to find the people who frag at IGL. Like, who the fuck frags at IGL?
Yeah, right. Okay, my take on this...
I agree it would be the ultimate team. You know, if you want the best ever, maybe you do want, like, Glaive. But I don't know that many IGLs that really frag, do they?
Right. I mean, there's not too many you can count on, at least in recent memory, for an extended period of time, that is, I would say. Okay, I'll say this about the Stewie Taco thing, that in terms of, like, actually stimulating in terms of watching tactics, that Liquid team was one of the worst in terms of that. It was just straight up just instant gratification watching headshots.
Oh,
just
for
watching
sure.
them bail themselves out of situations that just made no sense.
It was like an 80s action movie. They're just shooting everyone and killing them. Yeah, exactly.
It was just John Wick. It was everybody going John Wick mode
exactly.
on them. Yeah, so there was never too much to get too excited about in terms of like, basically it just so kind of obviously the least sustainable way to be winning is what that Liquid team was. And with G2, I think that with how they've been approaching these games and how basically their win conditions, I would say, it kind of, because they have 4 fraggers, they basically can just take turns on it. Like m0NESY isn't having the best pro league right now, but G2 has yet to drop a map. They've yet to drop a map so far. So it doesn't really need to be him that's always stepping up, because now the riflers are getting involved, and it is one of those, maybe I guess the conversation happens so often, especially when Fallen came in around like 2015 or so, where people were saying this is the future of CS, and I think that conversation has been running for maybe 7 years now, that essentially after Fallen did what he did and did actually produce in terms of his individual level, everybody started thinking that the IGL should not be a weak link on a team, despite the fact that we've seen since then some IGLs like Kerrigan, for example, succeed without actually producing that well in the server. But I think people just want to rely on that easy narrative of basically there can't be a weak link on a team. I think that has been proven verifiably false now. You can have a weak link on a team in terms of raw output and still succeed due to system success.
Do you have anything you want to jump in on, Peter, before we go to the next point?
I mean, the thing about let's say HooXi was a great fragger. Like, you don't have to be Nico good or Simple good, but let's say you're decent, all right? The thing about CS players in general is that when you believe that you can take your shot where you can win your duel, you will try to set yourself up so it's fair for you taking that duel. Like, take going out cat on Dust 2 for an example. When you go out cat and want to fight on A site, you want to have like a fair kind of duel, like get a flash so you can get that peek, or use the smokes to block off the other side so you can get a fair fight. When you feel that you're not equally as good as your teammates, you will go out and you will take that fight, even though it's not good for you, but you will get that information and have your better players transition and win that run for you. So if I just compare HooXi to Aleksib is a great IGL. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's a better fragger than HooXi. But what that means is that Aleksib will try to get himself in a good position, which will stall the other players on his team. So Hunter will not get in a good position, Nico won't get in a good position. It will force Nico and Hunter to get into bad positions. And that's where the difference with HooXi and Aleksib is, and a lot of IGLs. So for me, if Aleksib is to be on a good team, he does not need to have that many star players around him. Like, he needs to have a HooXi kind of player around him, so Aleksib can get into those good positions. And
I mean, the joke is, he might not know it himself, but that was MBK actually in his team. If you ever saw the comms and that, like, basically that was the player helping make the rest of the team work. That's why I always told them, like, that'll be the beginning of the end when that player goes. What do you know? It was. By the way, that was also my joke on Twitter. It's like, I'd be also not that mad about G2 fans, for example, complaining, because obviously you look at the stats and you're a casual fan, and you think, oh, it's just not fragging. It's like, you guys are the ones who told me Aleksib shit at fragging. It's like, again, who are we signing? You know, like, who's available, guys? Like, and someone quit his Fallen coming out of a time machine from 2016. By the way, that's even a good point, Maui. That's why you notice I said he was an overrated player. As an IGL, by the way, Fallen probably the best fragger of all time. Bear in mind, he was actually really good as an IGL as well. Like, that's the problem. Most of them that are really, because there's the problem. There are too many people. Here's the thing, right? It was the fans who said that BlameF must be a good IGL because he was fragging. Yep. The joke is, BlameF stopped IGLing, fragged equally well, and now just doesn't seem like he ever wants to go back to that, mate. I think he even sort of like low-key implied to me, like, you're probably even right, like, I'm fairly... Here's the joke. He's like, I'm quite new as a player, aren't I? Like, I don't know everything. Like, I was learning. It was only fans that hyped him to the heavens and would have chosen him to replace all these guys, you know?
There was a great point that Valde brought up on the reflections that you did with him recently, that a lot of people that go from players to be IGLs, they don't ever fully commit to it, and they just kind of think about, how do I get back to being a player? And BlameF, that's exactly how I would read BlameF in this situation. I do want to go back on the point about HooXi versus Aleksib in terms of fragging. Is just that so actually in the recent game that they played against Big on Mirage, both Hunter and HooXi were playing B together, and and the thing, I'll read the stats on CT side. HooXi was 3-10, and Hunter was 22-4. I do not think I ever really saw times when Aleksib and Hunter were playing B together, whereas Hunter is the cat guy, Aleksib is the B anchor, and Hunter have those kind of performances. Like what he did there was just so, it was so obvious how they were able to work off of each other in those kinds of situations, and it's like HooXi's just that perfect kind of tether to Hunter in that kind of bomb site where it felt like he just knew where he should position himself so that Hunter could succeed more. I obviously can't take all the credit away from Hunter,
yeah, of course.
but like HooXi was doing such a great job, even though even though he put up 3 kills. Like, it's just one of those things where positionally he's such a strong player, actually.
Like, basically, my main critique of the whole HooXi thing, I'm actually saving it because I have to wait to see how it plays out. It will just be whether or not it solves the whole Nico equation and fixes the rest of the team. If not, it might be like, did he have the right personality? I don't even, like I said, for me, the only reason I would complain if they'd sign HooXi to the Jax lineup. Then you're going to have 2 people who might just drag the team down. In this team, I think you've actually made the right team to potentially give this guy a go. Like, and the other thing I'll throw in very quickly is this. When people say, because I do think the ultimate example of where you have to frag on some level, Maui, is Hunden. But the problem is this. Hunden was really bad at tier 2. You know, HooXi's playing at tier 1 on LAN right now, guys. The point is, Hunden was, like, terrible for tier 2. So, yeah, obviously, you'd have to have had, like, Na'Vi around him to win, wouldn't he? So, that's the extreme outlier, guys. There's not actually that many people, in my opinion, who are competent IGLs who just cannot play Pro CS. The other angle as well is this. Is, like, I would just say that to anyone who critiques G2 or the rest. Again, who else was I supposed to sign? I'll always be my refrain to Nico. It's like, if Carrigan ain't good enough for you, where you going, Mars or something, mate? Where are you getting the IGLs from? Like, homie, there aren't any more. So anyway, should we go to the next point? You ready?
I guess we're lingering on this for a while, but I still think that the main debate was, is it going to be Alex or is it going to be HooXi?
Yes.
But the thing is that signing a player like Alex is basically signing a second version of Aleksib. You had all those really active rotator spots, and so you're just going to kind of end up with the same sort of issues that you had before, where Alex is a better fragger, but it's just that he's not used to playing those spots in a way that leads to winning Counter-Strike unless he just kills them all.
Right, let's do it. Let's move then, Mauisnake. So what is your good point?
Yeah,
spoiler, this will actually almost, he hasn't thought of it himself, but it almost does play into like the classic, like, Maui says good things about people who hire him. Keep hiring me, and I keep saying good. He's not really doing that, but just accidentally backs into it. It is a good point, so go on. Give me a good point.
Right. Mine is just that from the leaked report so far, obviously Blast hasn't made an official statement on this. Although Nico, one of the main guys at Blast, had a big thing.
Nico the Pops, obviously not the Bosnian one. We mean the Danish guy who runs Blast, yeah.
Yes, he had a tweet about things are getting exciting. And as soon as he tweets that, the article comes out about the fact that Blast is going to have a major. And then basically, so my good point obviously is just that Blast is going to have a major, or it looks at right now that it is going to be the case. And so I'll just say, like, my first big point about Blast, and I think is not always that they have what I would consider just overall like the best production through and through, but it's the most consistently delivering at a very high level. Like, basically, you can count on a Blast production top to bottom, start to finish for the day, being very well run, very, very few errors, and that's something that when I think of all these majors recently, there's always kind of those couple warm-up days. You always have to see, every TO basically has to, the first couple days, have major audio issues, major whatever issues. And the thing is with Blast, they've done it. I've seen them run enough events now, even when they go off-site to these LAN arenas, and it's just good. Very first day, no issues anymore. They've got it figured out. And so what we're gonna hopefully see from them is that they're gonna give CS fans or people that are coming in from other spots on the internet that are tuning into the major on day one, that people are excited about the major. They're not going to have to deal with audio issues or video issues, because I feel like that probably has turned off so many potential fans in the past, tuning into day one of the major and just seeing a hugely flawed product. And that's always so frustrating, because you never really know how big could that grand final have really gotten if someone that tuned in on the first day because they heard about it actually stuck around, and the viewer retention is just going to be better. So I think that's really cool. My secondary point, which again, like, sorry to spoil this, but that just probably means also Scrawny and Launders are going to do a grand final. Probably going to cast the grand final for a major. And I think that's, at this point, a very well-deserved nod to them, because I think they've been absolutely killing it.
What do you think, Peter?
I mean, Yeah, I have a one point about Blast later, but I think like overall in terms of production and stuff like that, just like watching the ESL Pro League, like I'm watching the game and I see the player cams and then it says HooXi, but they're showing Nico. Like it's just a small thing, but
Yeah.
that stuff is just annoying. Or you watch PGL and you hear the audience is like it's like really terrible. So I think like in terms of that, Blast is really good. Like in the beginning when Blast started doing their tournaments during when we went to the tournaments, always like the day before the event started, they gathered all the teams. Like it was mandatory, so everyone had to be present during that, and they just like had discussions with the teams, players, coaches, like what do you think is good? What can we do better and stuff like they were generally trying to do make a good product and trying to sell that in not only to like the CS fans but people who doesn't know CS. Like that's why we always saw like during Blast events trying to explain what the game is all about and we need to plant the bomb, like basic stuff, but they just wanted a 50-plus-year-old woman to be able to watch CS, and I think like that's why Blast is a bit like ahead of the other TOs right now.
I think generally it's a great move. Like actually, Blast is one of the ones I hoped would have a major. It's just that was the real thing we all said. Like behind the scenes, they were even themselves like maybe we don't want one. Like So actually, that was like just a Reddit narrative for years. But obviously, if you were going to pick one, them and ESL are the best. Like they just do the best tournaments overall. So I'd say you'd want doing the major. Because I agree. That's one thing that tilted me doing the PGL Stockholm one. It's like, mate, I don't think they even fixed the crowd sound till like the semis of the final or something mental, mate. They had like the whole quarters with like no proper crowd sound. It sounded whack. If you went in the arena, it was insane. And then on the stream, it was like the fucking golf clap or something. Like, what the hell? Like, and I remember thinking, like, this is going to seem shit and people are going to think it's not hype. It's actually insane. Yeah. Like, the joke is, the Blast one, the joke on theirs is they might be too good with the crowd mics because they're like, scoot, shoot. Like, yeah, I can literally hear this one guy cheating, like, get him away from him. Like, so, to be fair, we know Blast's going to nail the fucking crowd mics. And then the other thing is this, though, right? I even think it's quite shrewd that they picked France because, spoiler, France should have had a fucking major by now. You know how good France has been in CSGO. They won a whole bunch of majors, guys. They were like mega relevant. They're even relevant now. Like one of the greatest players ever comes from France. Like the idea they were just never going to get major. Me like infinite majors in Poland. Like really, homie. That just looks like you're saving costs for fuck's sake. Kind of HooXi can't be the best place in the world, can it? So the problem I have with that one is, right, I do think this is a great spot. I think obviously France is one they wanted. There's also an angle, by the way, politically, if you don't know. Very recently, a few months back, go look up the news. Macron actually did a fucking press conference where he invited all. That's why like Nell and those people got invited. And by the way, it flexed like they were invited because Macron knew them. What they don't mention is it was clearly like a fucking formatted letter from the office, like from the office of Macron, signed by some secretary or whatever. And then it was like maybe it was signed by him, but like written by the secretary. And then all it said basically was like you are invited to this like Trackmania tournament. Shut the fuck up! You're a CS:GO journalist, you moron. What are you talking about? That's like if I became friends with some fucking guy who's a celebrity and he had me on for tea and I was like, oh, fucking hell, getting bigged up by him, man. Like, no, just had tea with me, did you, daft cunt? So it's mental, that one. So I do think France is a banging spot to have it. I will say, mind, I'll shade in the same thing I say about Brazil, to be fair. Don't listen to people who are going to pretend like Paris and France is a utopia. If you go there, absolutely do your research on the internet and avoid certain areas at past 10 p.m. at night and dodgy places. And if people come up to you don't know, don't fucking start. There's all, like a lot of cities, mate, there's a lot of fucking shady shit there. You could, and the problem with France, Paris specifically, is this is why it's like Rio. It's like you have to go out of town to some shithole ghetto place to find all the problems. Paris has one of those problems where it's actually certain areas that are central. Same thing I was told about Rio, that it has like a central favela, like fucking hell. Like, so if I'm in the middle, I could accidentally wander into that. And that's obviously the problem if you're just a fan, especially because when I saw at Antwerp, there was like bands of fans just roaming the crowd, fucking streets. Like, I could see so many things going wrong in that regard. So I'd hope that isn't a factor. Right? Obviously, having the event there is good. And I even think having the last one in Belgium probably even makes them think like, but here's another thing. It's quite good to have majors on like mainland Europe. Everyone could just take a train there. It's like actually way easier. In fact, in the COVID era, maybe that's better than everyone having to take the million flights and all the bloody 7 hours waiting in line. Might even be an ideal thing to do. And the one thing I'll say is this though, the reason I think they were shrewd is I think not only did they play into the Macron thing where basically he said he wants to have, and he name checked them, like the League of Legends World Championship in France, TI in France, CSGO majors in France. Well, spoiler, in the current climate where like, you remember for Antwerp, there was that story like maybe Russians just won't even be allowed. Like what? Like what about Navi? And everyone was really scared because of that statement. I think they were trying to do the opposite and be like, this is actually where you want to have your major. If you have it, because by the way, if the government's sort of on your side, at least public messaging, it's probably going to help things out, innit? So the one last thing I'll say is this, on the being in France. The obvious thing I'm sure they wanted if they thought about a major was in Copenhagen, of course, wouldn't it be? That would be the dream. It would even be in the Royal Arena. It would all tie every blast storyline together. But I actually wonder if they were actually smart enough politically to realise, brother, the last event we had in that arena, everyone was complaining about the crowd and it was biased as fuck. Like, that's the problem. So I even wonder if they were smart enough to know, like, pitch something unexpected, basically. Because if you don't know the process of how you apply, you don't just go, I'd like to host a major. It's like a business proposal. You come with a whole presentation. It'll be in this arena here. I've even got, like, you know, I've got the deposit down initially so I could secure it for this date. I would have, like, this place for these reasons. It's got this cultural breakdown. We'd have all these things. People could come from these countries. What you do to Valve is you sell them on the idea. This is basically, my major is going to be the best major. So I think that one was very clever, whereas I actually think if they'd gone the Copenhagen angle, they might have opened that whole can of worms to get in trouble on all the other stuff. Even though I do think, by the way, just like France, forget the fact that the crowd cheated. Denmark also deserves a major. That's another insanely fucking relevant country in the history of CSGO. Like, come on, I want all the massive countries to eventually have one and get, like, sort of their moment, especially for the fans. You're only going to get one major if you're from that country. Just give them one. So then the last thing I'll say on the Scrawny and Launders thing is just this. That's why, if you notice, when me and Richard were addressing that stupid thing where everyone called everyone out, it's all the old casters for Stockholm. We made the point, like, this is so corrupt because there was never any TOs that was totally fair and just hired the best people only. They always put their own duo, like you say, on the final or in the event. By the way, props to PGL that they put bloody ESL's duo, like, so far up. Like, that actually shows that's the one area they were pretty legit in, actually. They were willing to share the power, as it were. So obviously, it goes out saying, if Blast ever got one, like you say, they're a shoo-in for the final. They've earned it. They've done their hard yards at the company and they're really good. So what I even told them was exactly that. I told these guys privately, sucks that you didn't get invited, but tell you what, you'll definitely be at Antwerp, and spoiler, when Blast eventually gets a major, you will do the final. So it's all right, your time's going to come. And also, like I told you, Harry, that's the industry. Your rep always lags a little bit behind what you've done, and it sort of takes a while, but once you reach the critical mass, as you might now know, then it just works. Suddenly you break through, you have the narrative set, and you are one of the best. So it's just their time. This is actually their time, and also perfect time for them to do a major final. Because my critique of Stockholm was like, guys, we've had like one LAN or something, two studio LANs, and an online era for 2 years. These guys didn't get the reps in the big arenas. Now they've got them. Now they've done like 9 months or something. They've done a bunch of big events. So now it's the time for them to have a final. I think that's totally fine with me. Right. Now we'll go to my point. This one might actually be controversial because technically we've referenced this guy already. It's obviously the brand new news that Aleksib is going to NIP. Now, again, what's funny is a lot of Peter's points in the other categories might count as some of the points we're making now. But obviously hold that. Pretend you don't know that, and I didn't just say that. We're going to just address this one topic. I'll just basically say to start out, because I just want to get you guys in on first so I know how much I want to talk about it. Because spoiler, I'll also do a video on it separately. Double dip on my own fucking channel. Whatever. Not everyone watches everything. See, if you all watched everything, I wouldn't have to do this. It's sort of your fault. You, the fans. I'm not greedy. But we'll be double. I'm basically workshopping this now to make the video better. So I think Aleksib being a nip is actually a banger move. And specifically for this reason, I actually am not joking. They did a really good job keeping this secret. There was nothing behind the scenes for anyone, as far as I know, about this move. I didn't hear a single rumbling. And as a result, I didn't even conceive this move was possible. I mean, listen, I actually have suggested that any team out there sign Aleksib, and obviously I think I might even have done a tweet saying I would go international or whatever, get someone like Alex or Aleksib. But I did genuinely think, in part because of the Broland story, but also because Device isn't going to play, well, he's not going to play again, and Essetag probably can just speak a little bit of Swedish and doesn't have to speak that much anyway. My logic was, they're always going to be a Swedish team, aren't they? And the core's going to be Swedish. It was implied Broland wanted a Swedish team or whatever, and maybe didn't like Fnatic. Spoiler, I'll translate that for you. He really didn't like Smooya. He really didn't like him. But you can keep thinking, it just doesn't like international teams. Mate, that would be like going, oh, they just don't like tourists. Meanwhile, you're really just thinking of like British football hooligans. Bit different, isn't it? You know, there's a bit of a distinction there between the American with the guy, can I take a picture? Like, England! Like that. That's the difference. I don't really know if Rowan hates international teams. I think he likes winning, mate. That's what I would guess. I think he just wants to win on LAN and be really good. So I think the Aleksib B move is a banger, and for this exact reason. Nip got so much out of that fucking rifle call once Broland came in. The amount of times they almost beat the best teams in the world, almost did like a top 4 runner, but you notice they never did though. They'd get like the upsets, they'd do a really good job, and they'd always just fall short. And that just shows that fragging isn't enough. They had good fragging, The other parts I do think were questionable as fuck what they were doing with the supportive elements. But to me, I always said this about Hampus. He's another a blame F. Just get him off IGL and we're fine. Make him just a player, and he's actually a really fucking good player. He has like mad advantages that you don't get from someone else. But as an IGL, he always seemed a bit played out. And quite frankly, if you look, it wasn't until like the DGL guy got going that they even got half good T-sides. Like, I do think that Aleksib, for this specific team, this might be the perfect team. Like, I hadn't conceived it, so I hadn't really considered, like, what would you do, actually? Because if I think about it, right, they're a Swedish team. They were literally originally the core raised by Threat. If you don't know Threat, by the way, Threat is one of the ultimate guys who's going to like have the whole game plan, and like we've got all these smokes and utility setups, and we're prepping it all before, and we're thinking of the conditioning we're doing. That's exactly what Aleksib is going to love. Dude, I think this is going to be like the perfect sort of... That sort of players he's gotten, I actually think are going to like this style, because they've just tried playing loosey-goosey for the last year or so. It was all right, but it isn't 2015. You can't just be Swedish to play loose and frag out like that. That whole formula worked because they had the best players in the world in Sweden at the time. Like, that will boost you. So look, I don't know that it'll definitely work, but I think considering that, I was trying to always scramble, like, who could they bring in though? Like, who can speak Swedish and be like, there isn't anyone, right? It's like you have to try Golden again, or I don't know, again, do you bring in some new person we've never heard of? Like obviously the whole thing, people really, this is how you know how bad it got for Nip. People were like, maybe you bring back ZTR. It's like, that was ages ago. Holy shit, like how weak is the field? So I actually think out of nowhere to get Aleksib, I think it's a great move for both parties. Whether it works or not, I think it's the right move. It's like worth a gamble on both sides for me. What do you guys think? Disagree?
Yeah, I disagree. I mean, I disagree about the first thing that I'm disagreeing about is like, how will they communicate? You know, I mean, obviously speaking English. I know some Finnish people do know Swedish, but once Aleksib is dead, are they just going to transition from English talking Swedish?
I would assume it's English. Yeah,
here's the thing. In the report or whatever, their own statement from NIP, it said they're going to switch to English.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, it's as far as I know, it's only the people at like the bottom of Finland, I think, who really do like the fluent Swedish, right? They're like top of Sweden. I think the rest just do it in school, but it's like you do it for a few years, you just quit. So I think most of them can't speak Swedish as far as I know out of Finns, and also they have an Apollo accent. It goes out in.
Yeah, I mean, the second thing about it is that, okay, so now they have two IGLs. Obviously, Hampus won't be IGLing. He will, what I've heard, transition to a lurker role.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I get a sense about the team overall is that as soon as something's not working, we need to like change. Like they're not trying to fix the problems; they're trying to find solutions to problems, and that's my like take on an IP. I will talk more about it later.
He's got one that's foreshadowing there, exactly.
Yeah, but the Aleksib signing would be, in my sense, would be good if they change one more player. And really make it like international. But just simply removing a player, Plopsky, who, in my time in an IP, he got to play the roles that he wanted to. Now they bring in Brolan, and he's really good. So, okay, who's going to take the shitty positions, the HooXi positions in an IP? Okay, Plopsky, you take it, because Plopsky is like a really quiet guy, like very humble. So he won't say like, no, I want to do my thing. He will say, okay, I'll do it. And then he gets all the blame for... Obviously, the like just going into any forum, you will see minus Plopsky plus I don't know,
of course,
you know, and so that's just like my take on it. That they're trying to switch, like Hampus IGL'd early, didn't work. Okay, now ZTR you're gonna call, and Hampus like maybe I should call. Go back to calling. We had Brolan. Okay, Estag you're gonna up. No, Rez you're gonna up. Like just mixing all the time. Like they don't get like. I think overall the foundation of the team is messed up. So Aleksib, okay, plus one guy.
There you go. Come on, Maui. What do you think?
I would say that this does a couple good things for NIP for me. The first was that I wasn't obviously writing in the HLTV forums, but I was saying that they should just trim the fat here.
You might have been, to be fair. You admitted you once had like a burner account, you flamed me or something. So I bet you had a fucking secret account there at some point.
I'm definitely not on the HLTV forums typing up anything at all. If I do, in the rare case, it's just under my username. But
all right, fair enough.
Okay, so with the Aleksib, well, the whole thing is just that I think that There's a couple things that maybe I got kind of lagged when you guys were talking, so I don't know correct me or say if you said this already, whatever, is that Red started opping 3 games.
We didn't talk about him at all.
Okay, so after 3 games in this ESL Pro League group stage, they switched sAttack off of the op and they put Rez on the op. In the games that he played since then, he did very well. Like, he was actually, he kind of had a rough start with the weapon, but then when he played against Na'Vi, there were obviously, in the Na'Vi game that they played, there were some kind of weird extenuating circumstances where all Na'Vi had to do in that series was win 1 map, but they had to win 1 map in order to make playoffs. In the first map, Rez was opping against Simple, and he was the top, he was the highest rated player for that map. In the second map, where Na'Vi also was trying very hard, Rez was did very well for himself yet again. And so in 2 pretty serious games against Na'Vi, Rez was very good. And what I saw in the series is that sAttack kind of switched to a more supportive role. And so I kind of was judging in these couple series where Rez was now taking the op away from sAttack. Who do I like more as the support player? Do I like sAttack more, or do I like Plopsky more? And I would say certainly I liked what sAttack was doing much more. So if you had to get rid of anybody and make one person the support of those two to make way for this Aleksib B move, instantly I would have taken sAttack. I thought that even though he just switched off the op, he was probably practicing with that gun, barely touching the rifles or anything like that. Immediately he looked like he fit more into these roles than Plopsky did. So I'm a fan of the fact that it is Plopsky out as opposed to sAttack, because I think there's probably a little bit of a debate there who it could have been between the two of them. As for the entire move itself, I think I'm not really sure if I'm completely sold that this is the exact kind of roster that Aleksib B is going to do incredible work with, but I do think that something really needed to happen, because the way that I was reading this team for NIP is that the mental situation for them was very bad in terms of they knew they were so hard capped without a strong opper. Like, the other players were bringing up almost like the problems with each other in some of the interviews. I remember sAttack said something about Hampus's mood. I'm pretty sure someone else on NIP said something about the opper situation. Like, people were just saying a lot of different stuff and almost felt like people were pointing the fingers at each other. And I have to imagine that there was some kind of kerfuffle with just how they were treating each other. I think they were just starting to get a little cannibalize each other or something. Like, it didn't sound very good from their side of things. And even with how PR friendly some of their answers were, I thought there was something going amiss or amok in their camp. So this needs to happen as soon as possible. So I'm glad just anything happened for the NIP, because they should, with the rifle core that they have, there's no reason this team should not be top 8 in the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the thing is, if people remember, when sAttack joined, I did say I thought it was a good move, because I thought the whole thing is he's going to make the hard support, isn't he? Obviously, you're going to have all the shit roles, and the idea is he comes from fucking Danish CS now. He's just going to be like a building piece to make the rest of the foundation work. I didn't know they were going to make him the primary AWPer, guys. Like, obviously, that goes without saying. And that's also why I say the amount they got out of that rifle core is mental. Because imagine saying to someone, I'm going to build a team that's trying to be top 5 in the world. All right, well, you're going to probably not have everything, right? Yeah, I'm not going to have like a good IGL or AWPer. What? Counter-Strike? CSGO? Like, you're not talking about like some other version. Like, that's impossible. I actually think what they even did with some of the placings was impossible, guys. And the fact, by the way, they were also even doing it with like LNZ and stuff like that. I think some of the shit, like, that's why I give that coaching staff mad props. Like, they were working miracles with these fucking players, man. How are you doing that? It's not even a real team. Like, that's also what I mean about the Aleksib. You know, as I kept saying, I'm not predicting they'll necessarily be the best. Here's the thing. Now I can finally get excited about NIP. Before, the only hope was Device comes back. Even that wouldn't fix the IGL thing, by the way. Now it's like, look, aside from like a true AWPer, the rest of the team's a real team. We've got like the support development, we've got the rifle stars, we've got a young star, we've got like a middling to aging star, and we've got actually all the pieces you want minus AWPer. And by the way, like, if they're going to go international, this is what people also don't think about, so it sort of ties in what you're saying, Peter. If we're going to speak English anyway, now we can get an AWPer. Now we can. Because remember, the same problem was, who are the Swedish AWPers? That's why the Kino guy was AWPer at one point, and we were making... So, like, to me, that was an example. By the way, I also do think, as an aside, this is just the end of national teams unless you're Danish. Like, unless you're Danish or maybe German, like Big chooses to do it. Unless you sort of go out of your way. Either Danish, Gendar can get away with it because they've got all the players. Big just does it as the gimmick and opt into it. But aside from that, you can see even France and Sweden, for fuck's sake, aren't going to go all 5. Because at this point in time, I've talked about this to death on the other shows, so we won't go into it. But the real problem is, you don't have the pipeline of talent those countries once did. They used to have such amazing domestic scenes that, like, the joke is you really would go to a local LAN and then someone would drop like 39 frags on you and you'd be like, maybe we should check this guy out. And then you'd bring him in your team and he would be like the next great player in the world. That hasn't been the case in Sweden for so long now. It's like, now you have to just be an FPL player, which, spoiler, that's every country. Like, the joke now is you might get your next player from Estonia or something. You don't even look to the traditional countries. So in general, I just think, like, basically that's why I say it's a good move. I think it's just, he's on a proper team again. It actually looks like a real team. Now they can maybe do something. And I don't have to keep thinking, what if Device comes? Because that ship has sailed as far as I know. Right, let's move on then. We'll go to the bad.
This is the globalism the Queen would have wanted.
There you go. Exactly. Except they should be a UK team, obviously.
Of course.
I mean, the joke is I would just want an English team, but you know, that's not the podcast for that, mostly.
Okay.
Right. So, okay, Peter, what is your bad point? You hinted at it earlier. It's Blast related, right?
Yeah. It's the format of Blast, that previous Blast tournament that we were all watching. Playing games, and games like basically don't matter at all. Like, no one is losing, and like, okay, if you go and win the first phase, then you go into the second, and just messed up. Like, watching the games, it felt like they were just trying to put out so many games as possible to get like up the time of viewership, and the losing teams end up going to Blast Showdown. And then, like, looking at the qualifiers right now, I saw Nikolas from Fnatic just tweeting out a couple of days ago. They're playing qualifier for a qualifier, like basically endless qualifiers to get into Blast.
Yes.
For me, it's obvious that Blast is not interested in having non-partner teams like within the circuit, like making it so difficult. And like, it feels like they're just trying to get as many games as possible in order to increase the time of, I don't know, partners, sponsors being shown on broadcast. So yeah, that's my like bad take. I think it was really like watching those games, like looking at the reactions from the players and also like the reaction from the casters, like, yeah, G2 won. Okay, like next game. It's not like the games meant anything.
Okay. I mean, I didn't catch all of it, but what I think would be really, really cool, and I hope the future of Blast would involve this, is that what ESL does to get teams into Pro League is they run all of those domestic leagues. They run all, like, the NA Premier, or I guess ESL Challenger League in America. They run the ESL Challenger League in Europe, and they actually have those domestic ones. I think like Meisterschaft would be one of them, or like I don't know the name. I just don't know the names of all of them. But they're all those ones that in simple like or domestic regions, like Iberian qualifier type thing too. If Blast had a league system structured beneath it, and it mostly just worked off of invites or something like that, what that could do is foster another tier 2 sort of ecosystem, because people really get their start in that ESL Challenger type of circuit, both talent and players. Like, a lot of people are come up there. You see the games on HLTV, probably could even entice your betting sponsor to just hop onto that sort of product as well. But instead, they kind of run these just very one-off qualifiers that seem they're kind of cutthroat. They're almost as, in terms of format, pretty much as tough as just any like BO1 almost type of thing on the internet, which is just always so random. And then by the time people get into the showdown, you'll get like the occasional like upset here and there, like the most famous one being I think 9Z over Vitality to send RPK to retirement. That one was pretty rough, but like the other times it's usually just these teams getting bounced immediately. And so if there were a stricter qualification system to get teams into the showdown, and maybe even more slots from the showdown, as the fall finals, like there's no reason it has to just be 8 teams. It could be a 10-team tournament. It could be a 12-team tournament, and they just throw in 2 more, then there's something more to aspire to there. Whereas right now, like you're saying, I think Nico Dawes made that tweet. I think Snappy, I think that's kind of a stolen tweet, actually. I think Snappy made the exact same tweet in the previous Blast Spring group. But, you know, like it's kind of been reiterated at this point enough times that people do think this is a pretty arduous process.
Yes. Right, okay, there's obviously loads we can do with this. On the pure format itself, because obviously they switched to that format this year, they used to have it before where it was like GSL group, and it actually was top 2 go to the finals, bottom 2 go to the showdown, and then you just play the showdown. Right, spoiler, the reason why they don't have that format anymore is probably they figured out, like, you just get, obviously, slightly more player time here against more opponents. So it means, basically, here's the problem that people are going to have to understand. This is where business ruins competitive integrity, as in you don't have the absolute best teams, because because you intentionally didn't do that. You did a business decision, not a competitive decision. So the problem with that is, to you and me, that's rubbish, that the worst teams at Blast of the partner teams get way more games. We don't want to see them play more games. But that is the whole business angle they are going with. It's like, if you are a Blast partner team, you will get this amount of exposure. In this case, it may be even better. You get to play all these different teams. You get all these extra chances. You get like, it means even if you go out in this phase and never make it through the showdown, you got a bit of attention. You were part of stories. It wasn't just you lost 2 matches, you're out, get the fuck out. Like, that's where you get forgotten, because that's where the Blast partner's going to go. You only have 2 of these things a year. Like, yeah, my team sucks, but like, I only got to play 4 matches. Obviously thinking of the evil geniuses and complexities of the world. Because the problem is, this is where in Counter-Strike especially, we have a really hard time where sometimes business and like performance in the game are not even at all correlated. So you get teams like Complexity and Evil Geniuses who have all the money in the world and their team sucks. And then you have teams like last year Gambit, who I'll bet were making like, they probably make like a fucking, I would say, if I had to guess, I would bet Gambit players like Shiro and stuff last year probably made like, I would guess like a 5th or a 6th of what like a Circle and fucking Breeze makes, mate. If I had to guess, I would guess they were maybe less even. Maybe
like
even
4 a month.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably the sort of range. I was thinking maybe kind of be 7 because they started winning. But yeah, they're not going to be anywhere close to that. And the problem is that what that implies is who the business of Gambit is. So the problem is, if I'm wanting to sign business partners, and remember, when we're signing for a league like this, we're not thinking about your lineup today. We're thinking about the next 5 years. I want to be in business with Complexity because they've got Dallas Cowboys, because they've got all this money, because eventually I hope they'll make a big NA team maybe and give me that narrative. Maybe one day I want an event in Dallas and they have the hook up with the stadium. These are real things, guys. That can get you into these things. That's why when people keep telling me, you can't wait, can you? Because this is the season where when Evil Geniuses do bad, they get kicked out. They don't get kicked out, you utter cretin. That's just something they put in the rules to kick out bad teams they don't want. Like, I tell you what, if Big goes into that scenario and they bomb 4 pro leagues, yeah, they'll get kicked the fuck straight out by invoking that rule. Evil Geniuses magically will skate on by, I guarantee you. If you know anything, that's why Virtus.pro used to do it as well in Pro League. Magically just get in again and read different qualification, because you want them in the league. The business part, you say, is, like, for example, the joke is, the reason why they might change this Blast format, which I'll get to in a second, is because Astralis might not make the fall finals and it's Blast. That's what might save us, dude, because I know that they're like, bloody hell, you mean we might have an event in Copenhagen without Astralis? What are you doing? And then someone's like, it's okay, sir, might have Heroic though. What are you talking about? They hit Heroic. Like, in that scenario, if you Blast, you number one priority is you got to have Astralis there, innit? Before even the rest of the tournament. Then I'll go on to this other part. This is the problem with that system that they've done, right? Because that's why basically the bad teams are in, and why essentially I agree with what Peter's saying. I'm a purist from the old days. I would just have like the 10 best teams or whatever. And in fact, I'd even say, like, I even think the fix for this, I know it costs more money, is I would have the showdown, but it wouldn't be the showdown. What I would do is, like, I'd have my partner teams play as much as you want. Play a fucking Pro League if you want. Have the teams that qualify to the finals. Then what I'd do is I'd have like a smaller LAN, but I'd call my LAN, look, if you want to be a prick, even do it this way to help the partner teams. Call it the semi-pro LAN, or like, again, like Challenger or something. Even though like you might be Heroic or Gamma, like the best team in the world 2 years ago, coming through that. But it'll make it seem to fans like, oh, so these are the up-and-coming teams. You play a real LAN, by the way. So what's great is if you are, by the way, the Enters of the world or the Gambits, like, who are super good, and you probably would win the LAN. But if it's an online, like 2BO3s, who the fuck knows, again, you might not even get to the tournament. And as Ents point out, they're not even getting in it. They're doing like the qualified to the qualified to the qualified. It's like, how many? Eventually, someone's going to randomly just beat me up for no reason, aren't they? Like, I'm just going to lose a clutch at one point and lose a fucking map. Like, this is madness. You can't have the top teams in the world doing that. So I do think you need to fix it a bit. The problem is, I think cynical businessmen have a very simple plan that they're overlaying. I will just say it on the actual format, because people were trying to excuse it via this method, Mauisnake. And you know from my Flashpoint thoughts, I think this is ass backwards. They were going, well, it doesn't matter that the groups are best of one, because since no one goes out, that's essentially just seeding for the rest of the tournament. Yeah, the worst possible seeding imaginable. Just BO1s against like 3 different tiers. That's shit. So what you're telling me, genius, is you put the worst part of the format first and then seeded the best part, the BO3s. Like my joke said, all you did was when someone like Na'Vi, in this case they won, but obviously typically they're the team that fuck up the group stage, or FaZe or something. Very often, if people don't know, when they win tournaments, they don't come out as number 1 seed out of a group or something. So when they fuck up their group, well, they're Na'Vi and FaZe. They can take the million chances. They're going to qualify anyway. What that does is, though, when they fuck up their group and you could do mate, Peter should know this. This has happened in fucking people's careers in esports. You know, when like there's a dominant team in the world and then they come second in their group and then you have to play your group and you're like, I mean, we really shouldn't win the group. Like, we might draw them in the first round. Like, the joke is, it's actually going to be unfair to us if we win our group now. And spoiler, in 1.6, there was some hilarious tournaments where motherfuckers... There was one in China in 2009, I remember, where cause Fnatic was the best team in the world, they lost the opening BO1 to a random Chinese team. Magically, like, 2 of the other groups, the favourite, also just lost to a Chinese team to come second. So you couldn't draw Fnatic, because the premise goes, remember, fans... You think you can beat Fnatic, but you don't know it. You know they're better than you. So what you think is, if I win this game, I'm going out in the round of 8. Like, why don't I just lose this BO1 and go to the semis or go to the final? Like, I could do it. You know, I could fuck around. I don't want players thinking about that. That sucks already. And then, as I'm pointing out, when these massive teams fail, all you do is, it's like you've seeded the worst groups ever. Because I'll tell you how that playing stage went. You had the group, right, that was... OG Complexity, winner plays FaZe, but then the winner plays Astralis. That group's like, that's not bad, I'd like that one. But then you go to one of the other groups. One of the other groups was like, winner of G2 and Big plays Vitality, and the winner has to play Na'Vi. It's like, what the fuck would that group be? Like, no, that group would never be made ever from seeding ever in the world. Like, you've actually used a bad BO1 format to make the worst group imaginable. Like, in that one, by the way, even if you're big, it's like, we're the 4th best. Like, we're far and away. Like, no chance to possibly win. Like, and then you look. Remember, it's not like Big was even... They weren't even the last place in their group. And then just all I'll say is this as well. Of the BO1 part, the only team that qualified for the finals was fucking Na'Vi. And it's Na'Vi, for fuck's sake. If you don't know, Astralis and Heroic won those BO1 groups. But they didn't even make it. They just got fucking bounced out. They have to go through the showdown. So yeah, I think that's all just fucking shit. And especially because I like to make formats that have like really sturdy beginning parts of the tournament so you get the awesome playoffs. And especially, I hate formats where, like I say, as soon as the big dog fucks up, it sort of just wrecks the whole rest of the tournament. Like, it can never really be a normal tournament after that. I even said this about Na'Vi earlier in the year. A lot of people were like, oh, Na'Vi's fucking shit because they hadn't won any tournaments. Like, they were meeting FaZe Clan in like the quarters of every fucking tournament or something, mate. Like, if FaZe Clan wins all the tournaments, logically they can't be second, can they? There's no other path to the final. And if, like you could see, it was often that FaZe Clan like came second or fucked around in a game. It's like, nah, fuck you, mate. You've just ruined my tournament as well. So because you're phoning it in, but you've got simple, you're fucking my tournament up. I would hate that on every level. Yeah, I just can't handle it, mate. It's too much. But like I say, this is why, unfortunately, you all like it when there's more money and more cameras and more. But this is what business does, though. Everyone knows from sports, business is going to interject. Because, by the way, on the angle that, like, I'm complaining, like, some of the teams are bad that are partner teams, that's also a selling point to the partner team. The reason they made the partner team system is because no one wants to have a good team one season, bad team next, and drop out of all the leagues and lose everything. That's why these people agreed to be partners and why it's a very heavily contested thing. And why the joke is, the greatest thing I ever did for fucking pro teams was attempt to do Flashpoint and get them to come to Flashpoint, because it let Nicola and IHOB use that as leverage to get a better deal for the Louvre teams and get them even more. So the joke is when they're like, ha, you idiot, why did you try that? I literally made your deal better, you idiot. You should be thanking me. I get the assist on that. That's a HooXi assist. Your kills are my kills. Whatever. Anyway, there you go. Whatever. Of course, I'm going to give you guys a bet, and I've selected one for you here. I already made it. It's one that I mentioned on the Competitive Edge with Monte Cristo, which you can find on this channel, which was, I actually think that when FaZe Clan play against Big on the 11th, I think this is actually an obvious game that FaZe Clan will win. Big is in really terrible form. syrsoN's having his issues on LAN. FaZe Clan, sure, they can drop series. They're not going to drop this one, I don't think. I don't think Big even has the map pool to beat them. I expect this one, despite FaZe Clan, look, they're at a 1.465. Like, that's a pretty good favourite amount. The reason why FaZe Clan sometimes lose games in group stages. So I think this is a slam. You just take this one. I put 1,500. That's how confident I am. And get back, it's 1.4. So I get 2,197. That's who I would pick. Obviously, make your own decisions. I think that's it. Right, let's move on to the next one. Yeah. So the next topic is Maui's now. Yeah. This one's a bit of a fucking edgy one. So come on, hit me with it. I agree. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, okay, so basically every time I have to work a tournament, there's always kind of a team that I start to dread after watching a couple of their games, because it's just like, okay, there's nothing inspiring about this team at all. And I think that what frequently happens is when I watch that team, oftentimes I'm having to work against like a crowd or a fan narrative where people are like, oh, I love this team. I love the players on this team. It's just like, that was me and Spirit this season in Pro League so far. Spirit was so boring to watch. They were really bad. They really didn't do anything exciting at all. You look at the victories that they had, and they They barely beat Endpoint, who was supposed to be by far the worst team in the group, and they beat an NIP that was having internal struggles so bad they had to switch their upper mid bracket or mid group stage, and then they had to replace their IGL, or they had to find a new one basically. So there was nothing really exciting about their victories. Across the other 3 BO3s that they played, they didn't get more than 11 rounds on any of the maps that they played. On the 6 maps that they played, they were just getting bodied. Like everything was just so bad. But everybody's like trying to say the Spirit team is like so likable, or like I don't know what's likable about watching this team. Like I don't know what's exciting about them. They have the worst flash assist. Even if you look at every team right now in Pro League, they have the worst flash assist. They have some really just kind of bad stats. Like their CT sides are weirdly just very bad too. They to me, I just felt like they could never win a mid round kind of situation. I felt like their calling in those kind of situations was just bad, and it just exposed and reminded me like, oh yeah, the reason they were winning those mid round situations back at the major is because everybody was in just such insane individual form that they were just winning all those individual duels when they had to think of a mid-round situation. So I just simply am not a fan of the Spirit lineup, and yet I kept having to be. People were like, this guy's good, this guy's good. They have so many young fraggers. It's like, yes, they're young, and that's why they can't put things together right now. They're really, really rough around the edges. They're really raw. I would say that the one player right now I'm kind of excited about on this team is still Patsy, because when he does his entry duties, he can just blow people out of the water. He can just take so many heads off, and yet it feels like so many rounds just rely on him doing it without any assistance at all. Like again, they have the worst flash assist in the tournament. It's not like Chopper is just setting this guy up for success. No, he's running in dry into bomb sites and headshotting simple, headshotting electronic, then headshotting bit. It's like those are the kind of rounds that they're winning. It's like, cool, but do that more than 2 rounds per half. It doesn't happen.
What's your take on this team, Peter?
I mean, for me, like, there's always, for every big tournament, there's always at least one Russian-speaking team that like explodes, and right after that tournament, they're gone. Like the first team that comes to my mind is Vega Squadron 2016.
Even has Chopper in it.
Same IPL.
Exactly. I know it's a good example. Go on.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like I think like the talking point in my previous teams about these kind of up and coming Russian teams is that they play so different from what everyone is used to. Like the way you practice in like before the tournament, you play against teams that all play similar CS, like the meta, and then there's one random team coming in and just like dry peeking everything, like dry peeking stuff that's not even necessary to do, like no logic. And then after the tournament, everyone is trying to like, figure out how they play, and then they just fall out. So that's just like my take on. I couldn't say specifically on Spirit, but on I'd say random Russian stacks. Like
it's a classic trend. Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows.
Yeah, even when you play Face It, you play against all these European teams. Like, okay, I know how they play. Then you end up playing against a Russian team, just like fucking Russian cat on Mirage. You like getting you like off guard. So yeah.
Yeah, the joke is, people who play low-level matchmaking, they hate seeing the Russian name, because they he's going to fucking soak or ask for the AWP. Like, the joke is, if you play like a face stack at 3 in the morning with like high elo, that terrorizes you when you see the Cyrillic language. Like, fucking, I'm not again, what's this going to be like? Like, it's people running through flashes, shooting everyone in the head, he probably cheats. But the joke is, you'll see him in 2 years on some team at fucking LAN, like, you didn't even cheat. It turns out they're all just fucking vampires over there playing at 4 in the morning. Oh, it's mental, isn't it? So yeah, the whole thing on this topic is this. You nailed it totally, of course, Murray, as to why it pisses you off. It's because, yes, once something is established, it can never be revisited. So because Spirit, at that fucking Antwerp major, were top 4 and gave FaZe a really good game, which was a fucking banger, like one-off run, people act like it's the same team. They don't even have the best player from that team anymore. Dexter's in OG, boys. That's why OG's winning matches now. Like, that was the standout player. The Patsy guy, obviously, that was like almost his first LAN. He's then grown into the next star player. I even think, by the way, I like the fact you just did it on the tactical side, because in terms of the raw talent, they have some good fraggers. Like, they actually have done a crazy job. Like, the craziest one of all for me is that they sold the Dexter guy or let him go, and then they just got this wonderful guy who is just like some random 17-year-old cricket, and he's actually half decent. Like, what the fuck? He was coming in actually like, hitting shots. Like, where does this guy come from? No one even knows this guy. What? Like, yeah, you could even argue he's better than the fucking guy Navi tried to do that with. Like, this is ridiculous. Who's scouting for the squad? But the problem is, without Dexter, there's no semi-final runs anyway. And spoiler, that was like a one-off. They were just wilding, they were just fragging out, weren't they? If you ever go watch it, they just shoot people in the head. Like, that can win you games. I know it doesn't in the long run, but you'll win a lot of fucking games in the short term. Then you got the idea, I was going to go into this myself, Peter, is that like, this is even something, if you go back to 1.6, that I always thought was very interesting, was in 1.6, right? A lot of people like thought Russian teams weren't good because basically until the end of the game when the Moscow 5 team came round, they never would go deep in tournaments. Like that's when they could make like the semis. Before that, they were always the team that'll have like a BO1 upset, same scenario, because they would have crazy fraggers, by the way. Like they were the teams, I'm not joking, where like even in 1.6, remember 1.6 you do Glock saves, they just always a deagle. They've never seen a Glock. The joke is, some of them, I'm not joking, on Nuke CT side in 1.6, the IGL of Moscow 5, that Edic guy, would buy a fucking deagle on an Eco on CT Nuke. That's mental. Like, you don't even buy deagles on CT side unless you're rich and you're upper. Like, they were just wilding. But the point was, they were trying high variance. They sort of knew we actually have to shoot everyone in the head. If we do that, we win. If we don't, we're fucked. And the problem was, they would just get to the quarters and everyone would beat them. Like, the third best Danish team would beat them. Any German team would beat everyone would beat them. Because the point is, real Counter-Strike, they couldn't play. And 1.6, by the way, really was like a positional game and using flashes and stuff. It wasn't like you just frag out and you just win the game. So I always thought, I wonder what they're going to be like in CSGO, because in CSGO is a different game. And that's why, to me, by the way, I do take people like Blade, Zeus. They are geniuses. They taught that whole fucking region how to play. They taught specific teams structure. That's why those guys have way more value. It's not like the opposite. Like, oh, Danish CS. It's like, yeah, there was a million guys and they all helped. It's like having a whole fucking Hogwarts of professors. This is like one guy just comes in and just goes, like, I'm going to teach you all how to do this. Like, that's incredible. Because the sad thing is, because the teams didn't go that far 1.6, I don't think fans know how skilled they were. I don't think they know that actually they, like, the joke was they would have teams where 3 people would try and op CT side because they were all sick AWPers and they were like, well, I want to be in the team as well. Yeah, me too. And the joke is, like anyone knows in a PUG, if you do all hit your shots, stupidly that'll work every now and then on a half. It's a terrible plan long term, as you can imagine. There's another reason why they can play well in CSGO, because in 1.6 you also had to be really strict with your money, because people can money fuck you and reset you so easily, and the top teams knew exactly how to do that. In CSGO, as thanks to motherfuckers like Happy, it is the game where you force buy all the time. You always have a bullshit pistol, you always have one hero AK. So I even think the game's more suited to their style, but I do agree, ultimately, that team with this lineup, they're not going to actually be a force. What they are is they're a cool dark horse. Every now and then maybe they get a crazy run. And then finally on that topic where you say that, like, this is the maddest thing. Everyone loves the team and we're bigging it up. Only Richard tried the angle of, like, Chopper's a good IGL, but his was more like, give him credit, he came from Vega and that. It's like, I actually think that's why he isn't a good IGL, because I've seen 2 teams at the top now, and the other one was Vega Squadron. Like, this one's flawed, the other one's The joke is, like, if you're an IGL, you don't put on your resume you were the IGL of Vega Squadron. That's like going, I'm a top executive in business. All right, who'd you work for? Enron? Like,
yeah.
I'd maybe just leave that off. I wasn't doing much. I was off in India, sort of finding myself during those years. Yeah, I'm willing to start though and learn from the job. Like, you wouldn't brag about being, because if people don't know, Vega Squadron really was just like, how can we just fuck up meta of Counter-Strike to the nth degree and maybe even a good team will lose to us? It wasn't Counter-Strike, was it? It was nonsense.
I mean, the metaphor extends to the fact that when you would ask them, like, what are your results, what's made you so good, and then it's like, about Enron, the stock price went so high,
yeah,
like everything, everyone
Yes.
that was investing was winning, and it's like, oh yeah, the team I was on was top 8 at a major too, and it's exactly the same thing. Yeah.
But the thing is, what they do, like you said though, what they're really doing is, I just really like Chopper. It's like, yeah, you know what, he seems like a cool guy. He looks a little bit like Rushley from ESL, and he's Russian or whatever. So, I think he's Ukrainian actually, but I'm not sure though. But yeah, he's basically just a guy from CIS. I don't get what the vibe is though, because to me he's not like a legendary IGL or whatever. In fact, I wouldn't hate on him, but that's why I imagine that team probably needs like a true IGL. Then maybe some of those pieces come on, because I agree with you, by the way, the one player who will be a real player in the future is the Patsy guy. That's almost guaranteed now. If people don't know, he hadn't played LANs until this year. Dude, this guy's like carrying us the best teams in the world. Like, he clearly is just a good rifler, isn't he? Like, so watch out for him. He's going to be around, right? Let's move on then. So mine, for my bad point, this will be a quick one because it's more just to make the point. It's not to have a massive discussion. We've actually discussed this topic to death. So I'm going to phrase it like this. Because today, when I record this, is Device's birthday, the bad is that Device is just still missing. It's not that he's not in NIP. It's not that he's not playing. It's that it's still indeterminate. No one knows. No one publicly knows. You've heard that one rumour. Maybe his teams are talking to him. But at the same time, never surfaces. Never says a statement himself. if you were a Nip fan, you've sort of now realised he's never coming back. So at least that's over. That like nightmare of waiting months and months and thinking maybe we're going to get him. Because I always thought that was just a bit unfair as a tease to the fans. Like they're going to think, oh, if he comes back, we'll be really good. It's like, and then you just wait month after month after month, like the fucking dad who went for cigarettes when you were 2 or whatever. He's not coming back. It's fucking, I'm your new dad now. So basically, that's the scenario. But the reason I bring this up is this: because no one knows yet. Look, it's not that Device can't be away from the game. I would just rather it was one of these 3 options. Either he was on a sabbatical. He was like, right, I'm going to take 3 or 6 months out. And because I'm not playing, there's none of these questions anymore. Look, everyone will wait for the 6 months for you to come back. But then we actually don't have to have this scrutiny and discussions. Or you do agree, one day I'll come back to Nip, then at least people know, right, one day it happens, so we can put that out of the mind. Or the third option is, if you actually eventually are like leaning, maybe I retire, if you also retire, the reason why that would be cool in this sense, because I saw it was his birthday, is because then we don't have to have any of this negativity. It can just be a celebration of what a fucking insane career this guy had and how amazing he was, how many years he was the top player. And I'd even say, by the way, it didn't end great in it, but even actually I think what he early on showed in Nip even sort of validated some of the rest of his career. Like, I'm sort of waiting to set all the fireworks off, but at the moment we don't even know, is he in, is he out, is he coming? So it's not even the fact that he hasn't signed or he hasn't gone. It's just that he's missing. I think we do lack something in CS for that factor. You know. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I mean, unless Pita wants to jump in, I would say that the thing with this whole thing is just how shrouded it is. That's probably the worst part of all of it. If there were any clarity in terms of where he's going or what the situation is, because there was what was like Hampus said we're going to play with this lineup, and then I think NIP purposely made that more opaque, or like they just were saying that maybe he's coming back. I was like, why can't they just be honest about this? Because it doesn't really, if they were honest about it, I feel like it'd be almost easier to pitch him as a sell to teams. Because if I'm not mistaken, from the Jackson article that it was reported on, it was 600,000 that the buyout is, but I'm pretty sure that was what G2 paid for m0NESY. And people are looking at just numbers right here. How could you even not? How could you pass this up if you're an org that's willing to spend? Because you look at what m0NESY did in terms of uplifting G2. How would Device not do this for your team too? Like, that's my big question. So, but I think that the holdout has to be that some of these teams think about, well, maybe Device is going to do what he did to Nip to us because we just aren't clear on the situation. So I just wish, and there's so much speculation at the end of the day that it makes the whole, like, every conversation about Nip and Astralis at this point has been colored by the fact that Device has been just sitting out for this long. And that's just kind of like, it almost just feels like attention whore in a way from Device, where again, like these things would detract from his value or my perception of him as a player when I don't know the truth.
Yes. What do you think, Peter? Obviously, touch on it as much as you want or as little as you want. You choose.
Yeah. I mean, not going into any specifics, what I've heard, but I think one thing that the community and the fans of Device earn or should at least have is the his communication on what is happening. Like I get it. Like, things happen in life. Like, me as a coach, I've experienced players having rough times. And you need to like address these kind of players. Like, I'm not like a psychologist. I don't know. I don't have all the answers to all the issues happening in life. But I know things happen in life, and taking time off, that's fine. But not talking and addressing like your fans' issues of you not communicating to them, I think that's one big issue that I have with all this. Then again, like from the NIPS management perspective, like, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of NIP as a team, but management side, not a big fan. I think a lot of people know that by now. The way they're handling it, they could do so much better. But I don't know if there's some sort of business side of this, trying to maybe have him back so we can maybe sell him for more. Because obviously they.
Oh, sure, it could be a play. Yeah.
Like, obviously, like, he's out, so they want to get as much money as
Sure.
possible because they put a lot of money like into him. So I think overall it's a big mess. I think it all comes down to the management and what they decide, because you can't talk. Like, you don't even have to go into specific what happened, but you can just address the issue and the questions that the fans have.
Yeah, of course.
And they're basically, what they're saying is, we don't give a fuck what the fans think. We're doing it our way, and I think that sucks.
By the way, as an aside, Maui, I actually got scared for a second. I shouldn't because you're more legit, but like you actually set that point up the way that the fans do, but they do the opposite conclusion. It's been driving me crazy, dude. Because since they don't seem, you can tell people haven't watched CS:GO long enough. Like the joke is, actually, Device is the most consistent player to ever play CS:GO. He's the only person, as far as I know, who was really good from 2014 to last year. Like, never had a down year, ever. Now, look, he wasn't simple, but mate, even simple had ups and downs. And would have times where he was like, this guy was probably essentially the joke is he's the only player you could bet on to always come back, always get his game in shape, always be able to play his style, know what he's doing and get good again. But everyone kept doing that. When they saw that news, Maui, they were like, 600k, but you could get like Monacy for that. It's like, first of all, I would trade Monacy in his heartbeat for Device. And secondly, like, if you think Device is not coming back to be good, if he comes back, he is coming back to be a top 10 player in the world, probably a top 5 player in the world. Like, that is just on the cards. And as I say, in theory, when someone's had time out, you can't guarantee they'll be good. But if there was anyone you could, it's either Simple or fucking Device, basically. Like, these are just the guys who they just know something about how to get at their peak level. I would even say, by the way, it's one thing, I actually think Device could even be mad useful to fucking teams when he retires. Like, he seems to have mastered, like, dealing with like stress. Remember, he has that thing, that stress related injury gives him like the bowel problem, like Get Right did. That means essentially, by the way, that doesn't go away. There's no magic cure. You just deal with it. You just try to manage your stress. Then he has stuff like he clearly knows how to get his peak performance, overcome. He's actually must have like a fucking mad sort of like toolkit and techniques as to what to do in the game. So I think he's mega eligible. That's why when fans are like, I'm out on Device, it's like, bloody hell, you fans are ridiculous. You're like some fucking pantomime crowd or something. You just get anything that happens, you just riled up and just today, this guy's the best in the world today. You fucking suck. Get out. It's like, you're talking about that was the GOAT. What do you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Let's move to the next one because we teased it. And actually, I did just realise I never thought of this when I was putting the points, but we constantly keep making points that are like almost leading into Peter's point. But I'm like, whoa, hold it, Peter. Don't make your point yet. Don't even hint at it. Just make. So come on, Peter, give us the ugly. Now we're going to hit the fucking motherload. What is the ugly topic? You've hinted at it already.
Yeah, NIP and making a team. Like just watching. Like even during my time, the way some people in NIP has addressed how the team should look like.
By the way, as an aside, because it's worth saying this, in the NIP team from your time until now, it's actually management that decide who the players are. It's not the players themselves, right?
Yeah, the first thing that happened when I joined NIP was basically I got the question about Dennis, who back then was a really good player. He just left Fnatic, and basically, during my time, when we discussed my contract, was what do you think about Dennis? And my first response was, he's a great player, but for who? And they didn't want to say for who. And then 2-3 weeks later, I get a call when I'm at the airport in LA, sitting next to Exist, and they call me. It's like, we're gonna cut Exist, we're gonna add Dennis. And like, okay,
by the way, you have the most cursed luck ever, because if anyone watches that Reflections, he also, when he was like on one of his first events with Nip, they were like, yeah, by the way, we're going to cut Fifth Lauren. Like, can you go and tell him? Like, so what, dude, he's just like, you're always getting fucking wrecked. Like, you're always sat next to the person like, shit, like, you all right? What was the call about? No, what's on TV? Let's that sounds so awkward, mate. You sat right next to you. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I mean, the decision makers are so afraid of conflicts, so they get someone who's not afraid of conflicts, and you take it.
There you go.
But yeah, that was my first interaction with that new management on MIP. We're gonna remove Exist. We're gonna add an IGL, and okay, we just need to talk about this. Every player can say that they can play any role as long as they get into a team. Like, there's so many situations.
People lie in the interview, basically, right? Like, yeah, of course. Like, my joke, by the way, about the whole thing with G2 is, if anyone's been reading all these interviews, you would just go in, cold reading them, yeah, I'm sort of, a tactic, and then when you say, tactically loose is what I would, you would do that, wouldn't you? Because you just want to get on the team now, and they're going to fucking wreck you otherwise.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, so that's how been
it's like the person reading the Ouija board, and it's like your mother, your father combat. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, so that has been my experience from NIP, and then obviously now the last 2 years that I haven't been into the team, we have seen how long has a core of 5 players stuck together?
Yeah,
not longer than 5 months, maybe.
They're probably the team that's made the most overall roster moves out of the top 10, if I had to guess. They're just constantly bringing a new fifth, don't they?
Yeah, and I think the main issue right now is that you have a guy running that side, the GM side, who in his Twitter bio says that he's a former professional. Like, please, like, no one knows like who you were. If you're gonna add a good GM, like add Kassad maybe, like someone who knows.
What is the name of that GM? Who is it?
Gunderson. That guy.
A CEO. Yeah, okay,
yeah.
True.
Like a fun fact about like we were at last in Copenhagen. We were sitting in boot camping before the tournament, and I'm sitting like this in front of a computer. I have guys next to me, and someone knocks on the door. I turn around, look, and I see that guy. I never seen him in my life. He's like, "Hi."
He's like, "Hey, whoa, where you been all the years?" Was he like trying to act friendly or something? Like he knew you?
No, but I was looking at him like, is this a fan that's come to the room? Is this like who is this?
Okay.
I thought we had security like downstairs. Who the fuck is this guy? He's like, yeah, I'm the new CEO. Like, what? He's like, yeah, hasn't the CEO said that? No. So like that's my first interaction with that guy.
Okay.
But basically what I think is that ever since they got Brolin into that team, I think it's been a mess. Like in terms of the player roles in that team. Like if we just look at the meta in CS, you have one heavy lurker, you have one semi lurker, and then you have a group of 3 players who's going to challenge the map control on a map. Let's say Overpass for specific. The 3 guys want to take mid. You have one guy coming from underground, one guy putting some sort of pressure towards B, trying to make some things happen towards B. The thing is, you have Rez, who wants to be in that map control area. You have Brolin, who also wants to be that, and you have Hampus. Now, where the fuck are you going to put it up? On a lurker? Like, the whole thing about the build-up is so wrong in many senses. That's why I think that they have lost themselves ever since they lost the device. I think they have lost like the whole build-up, and that's why I come back to the thing. What I said about Aleksib is that yes, he is a good signing, but NIP need an extra player. So that's my take. I think the overall way of building a team, they've just lost themselves, NIP.
I don't have too much to say. I don't think I have too much to say about this that wasn't talked about earlier. I guess the main thing for me is just that I do think that there's kind of a give and take with the top-down approach right now for a lot of teams where you have like a lot. I think the best way to go about building a team is to not let the players do it. Like that's the most upfront thing that I have to say about it. So it could be a coach or it could be a GM. What's unfortunate about a coach is that they'll end up usually kind of taking sides and probably being biased in one way or another. So a GM should be the guy that oversees it all. And I guess like when I rate some of the moves from NIP recently, it's tough for me to like have too much negative to say about their moves because of the whole device situation that has screwed them.
What do you think though? Like, look, obviously I agree. The device thing's like no one could expect that. But what do you think of his point though? Like, because essentially he's right. If you go when he left and Forrest left and the last of the old nip left,
yeah,
it has just been some crazy revolving dot. They never really have a proper 5 for like 6 months. Do they? It feels like they just like this guy in and this guy's out and then he's in and then Nork's out. And then it's like fucking hell. It's always a different player.
The worst case of this was definitely when they were just slotting in academy players in and out constantly. I thought that was a very strange move from them, where they brought ZTR in for a while, where they brought Fuzi in for a while. Then
Linus or whatever.
Linus was in. That was really, really weird to me, and it was almost like a really kind of like at the cost of your own lineup success, testing out young players, which like to see who could they move up. Whereas like a team like Maus, for example, they actually have just been moving up academy players, and the academy players or Torzi at least has just been thriving. So you would think that it's a little bit more obvious, or like someone shouldn't have to do it at the cost of their own main roster. Like that's my main point about that.
Okay. Oh, wait, one thing I will say is this. Right, obviously, people might remember, the reason this is also a bit obnoxious is the company people, like the Jonas Gunnarsson guy, we're all talking about this NIP system, as though they'd like invented the way to make a fucking CS team and like the correct way to build, which I think they were trying to play off all the old success and be like, look, we obviously understand how to build teams. Well, the joke is, you haven't really done a good job, have you? Like, actually, you've never built a team. You just keep building. It's like the scaffolding never comes down. There's always work. It's never finished. We're always supposed to go, like I said earlier, like, that's pretty good for a team that's not a real team that hasn't got the, like, fucking hell, like, when's it just going to be a real team? When do I just judge it as a real squad? Like, this is the team. This is it. We picked this team. It's playing, and it's going to be good. That's what, they've never done that, basically, and if they've just had this, like, bullshit excuse. So what I'll say is this, there is no NIP system. The NIP system reminds me of that, like, joke bit from a Bill Burr stand-up, which I obviously won't do the whole thing, so probably, like, copyright infringement, so if that's possible. But basically, he has this whole thing where he thinks that, like, Steve Jobs, obviously it's a joke, he thinks Steve Jobs was overrated because he says basically, like, it's not the difference between, like, having an idea that's just an abstract idea and actually implementing it in the real world. And his joke was, like, Steve Jobs just basically terrorized engineers. He would just come in and go, you see all those 10,000 records? I want that to fit in my pocket. And they're like, well, how the fuck can I do it? No, shut up, just get doing it now. And in fact, you got half as much time. They're like, what the fuck? And the idea was, I've watched documentaries about this guy, mate, but basically, people who worked for him were like, oh, it was really rewarding, but yeah, like, he's the worst boss I ever had, and I hate him. Like, because they just ruined their lives. Similar thing, he would be like, oh, if I had a picture, and I did, like, that, it should, like, scale up, like, as I do that, like, again, that's just a fucking idea, mate. Anyone can say so. That's like that famous joke. Ricky Gervais has a similar one where he goes, they say that Leonardo DiCaprio invented the helicopter. And it's like, no, he just drew something on a piece of paper that looks a bit like a helicopter. His joke was, if you asked him, like, how would it fly? He'd be like, like, no, because he wouldn't have any answer. I know.
You mean Da Vinci? I think you said DiCaprio. Whatever. Yeah.
I meant Da Vinci, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So, like, it's another one. So, like, that's the problem I have. There is no NIP system. Because the real joke is, it's like that. The NIP system was you get someone super legit, like Threat, and you go, right, look, I haven't given you the pieces of Lego to make anything really good, like an actual custom kit Star Wars. I'll just give you a random bunch of blocks. Just go away and somehow make me a team that's competent. And amazingly, these coaches actually seem like they did. Like I say, if you actually look what pieces they had, they overperformed most of the time in NIP. They're actually pretty decent. But the point is, I never felt like it was a proper team. So I actually think this is an example of a team that, even though some of the individual signings are good, the overall approach is terrible. And especially because it seems like NIP management just decide at one point, right, cut this guy and bring in another guy. It's like, you never know what the reasons are, though. It's like, okay, it seems like it's a better player, but what's the theory behind what we're building in the team?
The way I would relate this back to real, or at least American sports mostly, is just that what NIP is doing is when a GM doesn't want to get fired, so they just trade for draft picks, because then you can't actually judge them for their future. Like, you can't judge them until those drafts are made.
Yes.
And then they'll just keep doing that over and over again, and it's probably extended the career of, like, multiple GMs.
Oh, for sure.
At least the NBA space, just saying, oh, no, I'm going to just go for draft picks, and it's just like, look at all these assets we have. Look at the potential we have for this roster, and it's like, that's kind of what NIP is doing, because it's like, look at what this could be, but it's like, well, we're starting to see that a little bit, and then you just pull the rug out from everybody, in even the people on your own team, just to say, no, let's go for a different direction. Yeah.
And then on the Gunderson guy, right, here's the problem with this topic. I'm going to make it funny just to end this one, and we'll go to the next one. Basically, here's the thing. Pita is, like, wrong and he's right. Technically, Calc, his name was Calc when he played. He was actually a pro. It's just at the very beginning of 1.6, it was like the first, like, 2 or 3 years, basically, right? So he wasn't in the era when Peter was a pro and all the good people around. He was just a guy. And here's the funny thing. He did actually have the odd good run. He had, like, a World Cyber Games where he got, like, a fucking bronze medal or something, right? But here's the problem. The reason why it's funny is, I'm not going to say that and leave it like that. Like, he was actually good, you know, you should look into the history. Because here's the fucking punchline. A few years before he came into CSGO, I'm pretty sure, I don't think he was even in indie sports, or maybe he worked for some, like, Danish esports company or something. Like, he was basically out of the game. Like, I hadn't heard of this guy since the beginning of 1.6, basically. And before he came back, I just happened to do, I think, an interview, or I think it was an interview, but it could have been privately, I'm not sure. There was an old school player I did, like, a reflections or something with, or had a convo with, and he just randomly brought up, yeah, I mean, it's a bit like when people, like, bring up old names and you're like, he was literally the worst pro ever. And then I'm like who? And he goes, you remember Calc? And that's why when this guy came along later and it was like Jonas Gunderson, and people kept saying he used to be a pro, I was like, I don't remember Jonas Gunderson. I looked it up. I was like, I remember all the top players. Calc, like, wait a minute. And then I just remember that conversation, like, he was the worst player to ever be a pro. Like, so there's the punchline. The joke is, if his only, because remember, this happens in football all the time, by the way, Maui. Football probably is the worst sport for, you get the, not just a former pro, you get the star striker and make him the coach. And the joke obviously is, I'm going to guess the star striker knows the least about defense, how to set up a midfield, run fucking tactics. So what they do typically in football is they will make like the greatest striker from their country, like the national team coach, and he might just be dodgy as fuck. At least he was a great player though. This is like you took the wackest pro, and then we're like, well, you're probably really good as a GM, and it's like, I'm equally as good as a GM as I was as a pro. You see what I was going to go to that one. Anyway, whatever, that's enough flame. That's enough flame. By the way, I also did go a little bit harder because he was a prick to all of us with that fucking Stockholm Major thing where he's trying to call everyone out. Fuck you, mate. Fuck you. So, right, let's go then. What is your ugly point, Mauisnake? This is a fucking banger right here. It's good.
The ugly side of this is because it's actually almost in a way a good point from my point of view, but it's just that the way that the community, and I would even say pundit reception has been to Jame as an IGL is just brutally underrated. Like, Jame has now proven to me multiple times that he is an excellent IGL, and I think that he has just flown under the radar so heavily in terms of what he can bring to really his core. I guess he's working with a slightly similar core that he's had in the past, but really when you look at it, the only guy he's had for this whole time has been Kicker. Like, that's his right-hand man right now. And Kicker wasn't even actually, I think, no. Kicker, okay, so Kicker's been with him since the Vanguard days, at least. But, like, everybody else has moved in and out. They brought on Flit. Now they're playing with Norbert and Fame. And they look good. They just beat Big in the beginning of this Pro League. They're probably going to be qualifying to the playoffs if all goes according to plan. And, like, you look at Norbert and you look at Fame, and nobody would have thought that these guys... I mean, people said some stuff about Fame just because he's kind of from I think he's from Latvia, so like a less represented country. Okay. I think Yakindar said his name a long time ago, basically, but nobody really had these guys on their radar that much because that K23 lineup, again, it's almost like what we talked about last week with Neelan. It's just like who's really poaching these guys, right? Who is going for them? But now they're a serviceable team, and Jame has done this now with just 3 rosters, made them incredible, like really, really serviceable. And I guess you could say, like, I don't think you can just say it was a Yakindar type of incident with them anymore, because now he's building another team up, and like the thing is, people might say, is the coach really helping them? They've said multiple times now, Dastan is just a mental coach. Like, he helps them in terms of controlling their emotions and just making sure that they're like, he's like a morale guy. Like, he's a cheerleader. Like, they basically have said this before in many interviews. So like, it's Jame putting this together, and now once again they're looking good. I'll say this right now, like, some of the stats that they have in Pro League is that they have the best trading percentage of any team. They have the best 4v5 percentage of any team, and they're the second best T side in all of Pro League. And at the most recent, or at the Stockholm Major, when they came top 8, they had one of the worst CT sides at the whole major, like bottom 4, but in terms of T side, top 4. And everybody says the style is boring or whatever. Like, these labels that are just so unimaginative at this point, just, that's what's ugly about this. They just have become to get under my skin, because it's like, do you not see how effective these T sides are? Like, in terms of the raw stats, and everybody wants to quote stats when they talk about players. Why not look at the T sides that he's putting together? But instead they say he's boring or whatever, and it's like, I don't think it's boring. I think it works now. I think what he's shown in terms of the blueprint for their style, even though it's slow, it's very methodical, does involve saving sometimes. It wins more than it loses.
Okay, what do you think on this, Peter?
I mean, we've heard it before. You know, other players, fans calling out a team that's doing good that they're playing boring. Like, I can just go back to Astralis when they were at their prime. Like, you couldn't beat them. Like, it was impossible. Like, always just reviewing the demos and pre-game talk, like, we knew that they were gonna like shoot us in the back or from the side, and everyone's saying, oh, they're playing so boring. And I think it was Semphis, the old C9 player, he tweeted out, like, when everyone was talking about Astralis playing boring, he was like, please teach me how to play boring so I can also like go on and win.
That's a good line. That's a good line.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like the way that he has been managing his team, like ever since obviously when they lost, what was that guy called, Sanji? He was like the obvious support guy. Like, he was just running, you know, dropping nades, dropping weapons to Jame, going in first. When they lost him, or when they removed him, I think they got a little bit lost, because with Sanji they were like a consistent top 4, top 5 team. Like, you expect them to go deep into the tournaments. But ever since they lost him, I think they had like a more difficult time to find themselves. And looking at Jame and how he has put that team together, I think he has done a really good job. And as I said, and as Seth said, I would love to play boring if I knew that I will go on and win. So
yeah, go on. This is like the fallen topic to me, Maui, because you have to separate the player from the in-game leader role, and they are not the same thing. Like, maybe if you talk about team structure, they are, but obviously, judging them, they are two different roles. So our problem is this. I think Jame the AWPer is overrated as fuck. He is actually like a stats whore, pads the fuck out of it, and is boring as fuck. By definition, he does not engage in certain scenarios where you want to see a fight happen and win a round. Like, that is boring. But I agree. The funny thing is, you nailed it there as well, because everyone forgets that, mate. That's one of the ultimate retcons of all time. Everyone just repeats the shit we said on the broadcast. Oh, Astralis played the most beautiful Counter-Strike and they had the most intricate you don't know that. You all said they were boring. By the way, before they won, they were boring in chokers. And when they started winning, they were just boring. And the top 10 must not be good enough. Oh, I guess FaZe doesn't have a good enough fragger, or get this guy into Fnatic or something. Like, everyone just discounted them. And I always made this point. It's aged like a motherfucker. I said the great thing about Astralis is they won so much. Everyone had to like bend the fucking knee and just be like, yeah, you are actually just the best. This is the best. You are the best. I was wrong in every way. And this probably is like the zenith of Counter-Strike, the highest point it'll ever reach as a game. So the issue is, like, if you just look obviously at like the Virtus.pro style, I would say it's similar, right? Because I would never say Astralis is boring, but that's the point. It depends on the crowd though, Maui. To a fan, I do know why they thought it was boring. Because even though they all tell you, spoiler, this is how actually the human mind works. The guy on forums who only ever say, he doesn't know about tactics, I know about tactics. Everyone, that's the guy who knows nothing about tactics. So he's going out of his way to try and persuade you all that it's only about tactics and he knows about it. He's actually probably just a fucking idiot. So in this scenario, I don't think actually most fans, I won't say which ones, but if you notice, here's what ruined it for me, Maui. It'd be one thing if the people I think are really good who make those YouTube videos breaking down strats had the crazy numbers. They all have the crazy numbers. Even the ones who just take a round and they're like, they actually are like matchmaking level almost. And they just go like, yeah, and then they threw these smokes and then they do some mad speculation like, and then they knew that the CT would rotate and it's like, you look at what on his POV, they couldn't have known any of that. Like, they didn't see that. You've just retconned the results-based analysis. The people who do that get all the fucking views and everyone just go on Reddit goes, brilliant videos. He really understands the game. Blast should hire him as well to do video. And I'm like, get the fuck out. You don't know what you're talking about. Y'all are just like motherfuckers who watch a boxing fight. You're only really watching people punch each other. But then you learn that if you just keep saying, he's technical. He's very technical. That sounds like you're a fucking boxing expert, doesn't it? But you haven't said shit yet. You've just said what sounds like the beginning of something awesome. So I do think that, like, I understand why I thought Astralis was boring. And in that context, if you're just a fan, I always say the average fan, I won't say the word I usually say, but they're just a moron watching a fireworks show. Woo! Ah! Look at that! Oh, mommy, wow! That's them watching a cat. And then afterwards they go, it's very technical, the display though. And like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just all fake, aren't they? So to that guy, by the way, by definition, Virtus.pro is boring as fuck. Especially the last, like, the one with the Akindar, which, by the way, was probably James' best IGL job. What a fucking sick one. They were actually winning tournaments and everything. That was where they really did master that old school Zeus/Fallen style. You run the clock all the way down, but you're not doing it. Here's the difference. Na'Vi without Zeus ran the clock down because they had no clue what the fuck they were doing and Simple didn't get 2 entry kills. This is where you're doing that to use up the clock. It's like the fucking play clock in the NFL or the NBA shot clock. You're looking for a better shot. And I tell you what, this is why they're not boring. Because they didn't used to not plant the bomb. They used to always plant the bomb on 2 seconds, which actually tells me that guy had an insane understanding of timings and when people are going to rotate and when at the end they're going to think, right, they're not even coming. Oh, we hit them suddenly. We're like dry, just 3 people contact, push a site. They were the kings of that. They were the best at getting one guy sort of on CT, like he like shifts his balance. I'm going to go to this side. And that's when they hit the other side. Like, they were actually really good at it. What's amazing, actually, I think it's the most underrated part, is because they were so slow. People don't get it. They were really slow, but then when they would hit the site, they was rushing. They were doing a full rush. They were going fucking really fast because they had to plant the bomb in like 8 seconds. And like I said, they very rarely failed that. If they'd have failed it, then I would say the most boring team ever. Fuck them. So I actually think Jame killed it in general. I just don't like his individual style. And I also think this team probably will be the one where he'll get the credit finally. Because this is more like the Vanguard lineup. This lineup does not have the top talent. There aren't any Yakindars in here. Like, the joke now is, we were added, well, if you added Flit to these players, no, Flit is the show now. Like, the game is Flit and Jame now. Like, so they're back to the older Vanguard, which, by the way, again, was always a team that was punching above their weight. How are they doing it? They can't keep getting away with it, but eventually you have to give it up. Like, that pattern's repeated. It wasn't like we're saying about Spirit or like a one-off run. These guys actually did it consistently. And also, spoiler, the other side of a true IGL, here's my little pro tip for you, is you watch the losses. And when you lose a game and you're like, this guy called a great game though. Like he actually had some good calls. They didn't win these 2 1v1s. This like flash went off a second early. You did a good job in a loss. Like, there aren't that many people that are like that. Whereas I actually think this, like, I think that Outsiders team's already punching above their weight. I had Big probably beating them, you know. Like, there's plenty of snark. Like, on paper, yeah, it should be dead after you can left. It should be, but it isn't. It's still alive. Fair play.
I just gotta add one thing about the Jame thing that you said, and that's actually happened to me as when I was coaching. Is what we were playing them. I don't remember exactly what map it was, but I took a timeout because they were leading, and I was like, they're playing so slow. Hold on to your fucking nades. Like, if we wait like last 30 seconds, use the mollies, use the smokes, then they will just immediately go and save. And I'm like, oh yeah, super, good plan. Nice call, coach.
I know where this is going already.
Next round. Rush B.
Perfect. I know, perfect. The one time you hold it, like, I didn't do any counter flash. I know, perfect. Because that's the other thing, actually. I'll throw that in. That's the one thing I should have mentioned as well. Nobody ever in the history of Counter-Strike can actually do that super slow style only 100%. You have to every now and then do a silly rush or like a crazy like force buy just to keep them honest. Because as you're saying like that, eventually people would counter you. It's why also in a fucked up way no one really ever did counter Jame. Because like he doesn't do it 100% of the time. He probably does like 78% of the time he saves it, whatever the fuck. So he like just enough times he'll go for the 1v2 that you waste time and then he is off saving the AWP and you can never get to him. And I'll also give him props for that as well. Because I always do rec pros for how bad they are at saving Maui. Jame knows how to fucking save. He's not doing that stupid peek at the last second. He is holding that annoying off angle, and you know you want to get the AWP from him. And mate, that's why I even used to say, even though he's selfish, like I don't like it when he doesn't go for 1v2s he could win, because he could win them. But I actually don't mind how he saves, though, because the amount of kills he gets for free when he saves, like, he will just get that guy. Like, you don't hunt Jame, basically. Like, you're just going to give free kills to him, and he'll still have the AWP. Like, you're just going to fuck your own economy at that point. So, fair play that he at least knows how to save properly. Right, there's one last point, and it does tie into something I just said earlier. Recently, right, because I'm having to do all these bets, because I'm a betting sponsor, and I'm trying to find, like, angles. What I'm trying to do is not just tell people who's going to win the game. I'm trying to like judge like how good are the odds. Like this one, like there's scenarios, for example, where I will say, you know, G2 should win, but if G2's playing Big, you know what? Big's not a bad team necessarily to match up into them. Maybe they haven't got the IGL situation. Big will probably be quite cohesive. You know what maps Big are going to play? They'll probably play like Dust 2 and Nuke if they can get to those. Maybe they have chat. You start building up reasons they can win, and the point you do is basically you tell the person, even if they're not the favourite, maybe the odds are good enough though. Maybe the odds are just too high for this underdog. And so famously, Big was one of my teams. My two teams, and I did a bad job jumping off Big. I was perfect on Nip because I jumped off them before this Pro League group. You can go watch the videos. I actually pick, not literally they're going to win. I tell you as a flyer to do Fnatic over them and Spirit over. Dude, Spirit isn't even good. Like, I even had that one. So, mate, I did that one. But basically, Nip and Big were always my teams where if they're like a big enough underdog, I'm probably going to take them in a match against like a slightly dodgy favourite because the amount of times they'll get it done or be on 3 maps or someone can frag out. And the reason why I am now on the fuck Big train and I'm never going on them as an underdog or favourite, and it's just because of this. The one part that never fully truly worked on Big was obviously the syrsoN angle, because when the online period came on, he probably was the best AWPer in the world, aside from like Simple or whatever, you know. He was fucking unbelievable online. He would just drop like 30 on anyone, and if you did put him on a map like Dust 2, you just toast. He's just going to murder you all. Like, it's no way you can play it. It's half the reason why their nuke was terrifying as well. Like, again, amazing AWPer on the map. It's not that he's bad offline. This is why people always have to take stuff too far. He's clearly a player, by the way, who just hasn't fully been able to transition. What he'll do online is he'll have one terrible map and then have one pretty good map. But the problem with that is, I always say this is why I hate looking at stats and thinking everyone has the same role. It's why I use like the striker analogy for football, right? If you are an AWPer, in Counter-Strike, there are only strikers who are AWPers. There is no such thing as a defender who's an AWPer. That's just a bad AWPer that you're just trying to hide in your team saying he's a support AWPer or whatever. Every AWPer should, unless they're like an IGL maybe, should probably be the fucking best player or one of the best players on your team. So in my opinion, in Big, he is your player that's going to carry you to wins. And on LAN, it's just that like he can't consistently live up to the performance of those online performers. And that's the problem with Counter-Strike at the moment. The absolute best number one option star AWPers are the best players in the world. And if you can't match up to them, when you're Big and you're already working with like a little roster and you haven't got as many options as where to go and you're trying to do tactics, you have to have your heavy hitter hit, mate. You can't have him just go missing for a command because then you've got no firepower. And when Big has no firepower, here's what's sad. They don't even just get blown out, but they just do consistently lose. They just do.
Yeah. Well, if you look at syrsoN, I've always been kind of against the syrsoN as an onliner narrative because if you look at some of his career trajectory, he was actually falling off online. I think at the end of when lands were kind of coming back, I think like in 2021 or so.
Yeah, okay.
He started falling off right before land started coming back, actually, and then he just kind of maintained, I would say, mediocre by his standards performance. And if you actually look at every single land he played so far this year, it's just that he doesn't put up insane numbers. He's having an abysmal pro league right now. He's having like pro league just started and he's doing very, very poorly in it. But if you every single other land this year, he's gone positive. Like he hasn't been just like awful in the server. It's just that you wouldn't probably. Whereas online he's a top 3 opper in the world. It's that on land he's just a top 15 opper in the world, top 12 opper in the world.
Yeah. Thoughts, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, my experience from watching syrsoN is that I do believe that, like, from my perspective, this might come and bite me in the ass in the future if I coach a team and we play against him. But I think that he was very easy to like read his way of playing. Like, obviously, when he came out fresh into big, like, many people maybe didn't put that much effort into looking exactly how he played. But I remember, like, with Flames when we played him at the major, like, you could see that pattern that he always wanted to do. And I don't know if that was the tactical side of Big, that how they wanted to play, or if that was his way of playing. Like, he always had his thing that he wanted to do. He wasn't like dynamic in that sense. And I don't know if that's one of like the issues like with him right now, if people know too much about him. I think he needs to switch up a little bit more on his game.
Oh, but on that point, actually, I do have a little something, which is, I actually agree in that sense, because I think he actually has the same curse that Simple and Kenny S have, which is because they're so absurdly fast with their firing speed. If you're actually on your game, you can just go to the same spot every time, take the same duel and win. The joke with Kenny S was that's why his game fell off when he wasn't the absolute best AWPer. Like, you can't just go to the same corner, Kenny, and just re-peek it every single time, mate. Like, that works when you're the god. When you're just a normal player, you'll get countered. Like, there has to be more to your game. But I do think sometimes those players just think essentially, I can outskill anyone. It's like, you have to use your brain as well. And then the other thing I'd say is this, right? It's not even shade, but I'm going to just like give you a little background info. And when you know this detail, it's something that people say will make more sense. So one person who actually will often defend syrsoN is actually Yanko, believe it or not. Now you're going to think, what the fuck? Normally Yanko hates people who have land problems or a bit of a choker. But here's why. You've got to think of context. If you know the context, it'll all make sense. When was Yanko still coaching FaZe Clan? Oh shit, that was the online era. And who did they always used to lose to in those Big used to always beat them in those on. You know, they'd always make them come like 4th in the tournament, wouldn't they? And other than that, by the way, if they'd have played anyone else, FaZe could have maybe had a chance against Na'Vi or Vitality. But every time fucking Big got them. And who was wrecking them? Because this was exactly when Big went to number 1 in the world. It was syrsoN. So in Yanko's mind, he's just got still all the trauma of that. It's just, to his mind, he just sees his players peek out online, look, and then syrsoN bang, straight instantly dead. Also, on CT, if you don't remember, when he was at his peak, he would always have the scout permanently on saves, hitting a random headshot on you. So if you're the other coach, right, in that scenario, it's very easy to just remember all the games he was awesome, and especially stuff like that, like he fucks you up with a scout when they're supposed to be saving. You're going to start thinking like, fuck, he's unplayable, you can't do anything against him. But it's like, I have to wonder on that one, like, have you watched any POVs recently though? Because none of that's happening anymore, mate. Like that was cool 2 years ago, but hasn't really made it to now.
There's like something also that needs to be said about with syrsoN not like he almost actively, when the LAN era started again, like rebooted, he was not going to those boot camps and he just wanted to play from home. And now it seems like they're forcing him to go to the boot camps. And I wonder if that's actually having some kind of change of mentality or like.
Dude, the jokes write themselves. It's like this guy hates LAN so much he won't even go to a boot camp. With
yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know what his nightmare is? Network cable in it, RJ45. What's the counter to syrsoN? RJ45, isn't it? There you go. Ethernet, baby.